Well. We are still enjoying the George Pickens pickup by the Dallas Cowboys. And we are watching now the fallout of the Dallas Cowboys picking George Pickens. There are a lot of people who have a lot of things to say. There are a lot of reactions by the pundits. There are a lot of reactions. Some good, some bad. And we're going to talk about those. We're going to talk about all of those today. And not all of them. I'll be releasing videos on those, but we'll be talking about that today. We have a lot to talk about. But again, I'm the G. I'm the host of Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. And if, as you come into this live stream, please hit that like button, share, subscribe if you already haven't. Hit that notification bell so you know the next time we post another video on Let's Talk Cowboys. So, I'm excited again. The Cowboys are getting it going. I'm just telling you. And again, I've been saying it ever since they hired one Brian Schottenheimer. The Cowboys are moving different. People can tell me what they want to. And now it's amazing because now even the big time media, they're starting to say it. Jerry Jones is moving different. They're saying it. They're saying it. It's true. It didn't. I don't understand why it took this long. But I guess it takes some people longer to come to the truth. But again, let's get our topics for the day. Then we're going to do our roll call. And then we're going to get into our first topic. So these are the topics for the day. 105.3. There's a video on 105.3. We're going to talk about that. George Pickens. There's another video on 105.3, and I'm thinking it's a new one. Brian Broaddus is talking about the whole George Pickens thing. And then, of course, I'm going to talk about, is this 90s Jerry that we're looking at? There's an article over on Athlon Sports I want to capitalize on. Then I want to talk a little bit about, there's an area that I do believe the Cowboys still need to maybe start looking at, and that area is maybe what are we going to do at cornerback? I got slot cornerback, but I really want to talk about what are we going to do at cornerback. And then I want to make sure we start talking about these Dak expectations. Dak's expectations. I'm actually going to talk about this a lot as we continue, as we get closer and closer to the season. I'm going to talk about this a lot because I do think it needs to be talked about. And then, of course, our conclusion. And you know what? I think in our conclusion, I forgot. Let me write this down. I just saw where somebody said wide receiver 3. I actually wanted that to be one of my topics for the day. But if what I'll do, we'll talk about it a little bit today. And then we'll make it an even bigger focus tomorrow. Again, all right. Y'all know what time it is. It is time for our roll call. And as we get into this roll call, I had to look this up, man, as we talking about Jerry Jones and the stuff that Jerry Jones is doing. And Jerry Jones is reminding me of that man. He's reminding me of the old, young Jerry Jones. But not only is he reminding me of the old, young Jerry Jones, something came to mind when I started thinking about Jerry Jones, Wheelin, and Dealin. Do y'all remember this? It's so hard for me to sit back here in this studio. Now, y'all who are familiar with wrestling, y'all know what this is. Looking at a guy out here hollering my name. This is Jerry Jones, I'm saying this. When last year I spent more money, spilled more liquor in bars from one side of this world to the other than you made. You're talking to the Rolex wearing, yeah. Diamond ring wearing, yeah. Kiss stealing, woo, wheeling, dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun. I'm having a hard time holding these alligators down. Yep. Somebody know what that means. Somebody know what that means. That's how Jerry Jones feeling right now. That's how Jerry Jones feeling right now. Yes, sir. Hoodie Kush, you know what I'm talking about. Yes, sir. Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, woo, wheeling, dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun. I'm having a hard time holding these alligators down. Yes, sir. That's how Jerry feeling right now. That's how Jerry Jones feeling right now. Let's go. Daco's filthy. Yes, sir. What's going on? Ice cold cowboy. Man. Yes, sir. Let's go. Lord Nova. Let's go. Cowboys Thanos. Yes, sir. Let's go. Dominique Pittman in the crib. What's going on? Yes, sir. Hoodie Kush in the crib. Young Star. What's going on with you? Katharina Kiss. What's going on? Gregory Carpenter in the crib. Let's go. Patrick D. Johnson Jr. Let's do this. Hallelujah, hallelujah. What's going on? Yes, sir. Patrick D said, I'm hype. Yes, sir. Me too. OG, let's go. Salute. Yes, sir. Let's go. Robert Dudley. God is good all the time and all the time. God is good. Yes, sir. Let's go. Let's go. My man Blue Star in the crib. He said, oh, man, right on time. What up, man? What up, what up? He said George is about to be that player that will play with a chip on his shoulder, because he will be looking for a contract with his new team, America's team. I said the same thing. People are wrong, I believe, about they're wrong about George Pickens. No, George Pickens is going to come in here, and I believe this man going to be on his best behavior. Do we not understand this man is probably going to be up for at least a $20 million per year contract, even if it's not with the Cowboys? Nah, he better come in here and act right. He better come in here and act right. Dak Delusional in the crib. What's going on? Dak Delusional. Azteca in the crib. What's up? What's up? Ty Howard, what's going on? Yes, sir. Intelligent Savage. He said, chat, smash that like button. My man, Intelligent Savage, what's going on with you? Mike McCain in the crib. Yup. Alex, what's up? What's up? Let's go. Hey, Ron, 808, what's going on? Lots of Cowboy haters going out their way to voice their jealousy. Boy, especially them Eagles fans. Boy, they more mad at Pittsburgh. They more mad at Pittsburgh than the Pittsburgh fans. John Jones, what's up in the crib? Yes, sir. Let's do this. Solomon Jernigan, what's going on? While everyone was hoping for a number 2, I was hoping for another number 1. Yes, sir. Hey, and that's what he is, whether people accept it or not. Yes, sir. Patrick D. Johnson, you know what it is. That was Slick Rick. Somebody gonna know what that is. Jameson Taylor, hope all is well. Yes, sir. Daniel M. in the crib. What's going on with you? Pure Gaming in here. Reginald Jackson in the crib. Los Altos, what's going on? All right, let's get it. Let's get it. My man Bleeding Blue, appreciate that $9.99 super chat. Yes, sir. Jumping up and down saying the number 1 fan. Let's go. Yes, sir. Big Cloud in here. Let's go. Let's go. All right. We'll greet everyone else as they come in. Charlie Word Crazy 757 said them YNs have united in Dallas. Yes, sir. Yeah, they're getting younger and younger. Younger and younger. They are. Warren Miles in the crib. What's up? R-Dub 763. Let's go. Yeah, that meme the CD used, the Simpson character that is always picking his nose. Yes, sir. He definitely key to seeing for sure. C-Base in the crib. What's going on? Gene Ward. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Cowboys Nation. Let's go. Bobby Murphy. What up? Gangston Show. What's going on? Let's go. Big Dow 8604. Let's get this thing going. Let's go. All right, Dallas Cowboys. Let's go. It's time. Let's go over here to 105.3 The Fan. So there's been a lot of talk about this thing with George Pickens, and I've already released a video that I'm sure you've already seen it. If you haven't, it's on my channel now. Chad Ochocinco lost his mind when he found out the Dallas Cowboys got George Pickens. Chad Ochocinco, I'm not saying it. Chad Ochocinco is saying it. Chad Ochocinco is saying, do not be surprised if the Dallas Cowboys win the NFC champion. I mean, if the Cowboys are the number one team in the NFC East. Oh, well, he said it. I'm not going to be surprised even before he said it, because with everything that this team has been doing in this whole offseason, and now I guess we're in the season, we're talking about free agency. Now we're talking about the draft. They continue in free agency. They got George Pickens. I mean, all of the things the Cowboys have been doing. The Cowboys have absolutely been moving different, and it's amazing how so many people said they were not moving different. I've been screaming this from the rafters, and then the Cowboys get George Pickens, and people jump on the bandwagon. Boy, it's amazing. It is amazing how fast people will jump on the bandwagon. I'm telling us, it is amazing. It is amazing. And again, 105.3 The Fan, they got a couple of different things on George Pickens, and so I haven't even listened to them. A lot of times I like to listen to this stuff with you guys so I can give like a very, I can just kind of give a fresh take, try to keep it genuine as possible. And so they talked about George Pickens. They talked about George Pickens coming to the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, it looks like they got something else up also about George Pickens, but let's check this one out. Like I said, hadn't had a chance to listen to it, so we're going to listen to it together. Let me check out a couple of comments before we get going on this video. My man Q Ball, what's up? He said, what up, G? What up? Keith Rivera, what up? He said, G, don't be buying what Mike be selling when it comes to wide receivers. Yeah, I'm just wondering about the thing with, a lot of people say that, I believe that Mike Tomlin is also a great leader in the thing with George Pickens. But it seemed like George Pickens, they had this stuff settled, and then all of a sudden this just kind of comes out of the blue. But I think this is a very good move, not only for the Dallas Cowboys. I think it's a great move for George Pickens. And I'm just telling us, man, I was saying this, and people are saying this now, but y'all heard me say this first. I had to look at the quarterbacks this man had played with. I said this 2 weeks ago. Man, the quarterbacks this dude had played with. I'm not condoning bad behavior. I'm not condoning bad behavior. But I'm just saying an immature, young, talented receiver, and up until this point has not played with a quarterback like Dak Prescott. So I bet you he is chomping at the bits to get some passes from Dak Prescott. Yeah, Madman said when Dak's healthy, Eagles can't beat Dallas. Yeah, Dak owns the NFC when he's healthy for sure. He owns it. He owns it. Solomon said the league gets scared when the Cowboys pick up. Boy, you are not lying, Solomon Jernigan. The league gets scared when the Cowboys pick up weapons. For sure. Davion Wallace, what's going on with you? Reginald Jackson, he said, we only have 12, but stand by. Yes, sir. Big Cloud, Irvin was hyped too. Boy, yeah. I cannot wait to go back and do a video on Irvin. Irvin was hyped. He was. Katharina Kiss, guys, I just got news on my phone. Dallas is signing Chubb. Well, I hope it's true. I was just saying this the other day. I've been talking about this even early on. Nick Chubb. I was putting this on X. Nick Chubb. If the Cowboys get Nick Chubb, they're in win mode. They're in right now. The Cowboys are in win mode. They're in win mode. They're in win right now mode. I guess they're saying forget building for the next, and even then you can still be building. But the Cowboys are saying, we're gonna be building and in win now mode. Oh, I love it. I love it. Boy, Nick Chubb. Oh, man, that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. Okay, C-Buzz said they're out on Chubb and they out on Brees. Yeah, I thought I saw that early on, but again, I think James Slater had reported that the Cowboys were actually out on Brees and Chubb. But again, I'm not going to put anything past the Cowboys at this point. I'm not going to put anything past the Cowboys at this point. Warren Miles, he said, gee, we have to thank one of the one Eagle fans that was talking smack to Jerry. Boy, I remember that. Yes, sir. Did a video on that. He said, keep up the great work, Jerry. We love you. Keep it up. And Jerry looked at him and said, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. So, yes, sir. Blue Stars, he said wide receiver. He said George Pickens on CD Lamb, super dynamic receiver. Schematically, you won't be able to double everybody. That would be a great thing for me and him. Yeah, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment too, because I think there's something else. And I wrote it down. Somebody mentioned in the chat. There's something else we got to look at too. Again, what's going on? Poobie D in the crib. He got my back. Yeah, let's go. Let's look at this thing on 105.3 The Fan. Again, they're talking about, let's see. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is Jason Garrett. This is Jason Garrett's reaction to George Pickens. Let's see. Hopefully we don't get a copyright strike on this later on today, but it's just too good to pass up. Let's check out his Jason Garrett's response. All right, let's get this thing going.
Here we go.
All right, so yesterday I'm just going around looking for different reaction, and
that's what I'm doing too.
Blown away by Jason Garrett, analyst still, I believe, for Football Night in America and NBC. Chopper, you've always loved Jay Jeezy, kind of away from this show, telling the stories and elaborating, and I'm just going to go through these cuts. I thought it was awesome. This was with Mike Florio and Chris Sims. Jason Garrett with his reaction to the Pickens deal.
I think it's a great trade for Dallas. I really do. If you look at their team, I think they got a lot of good weapons. And for me, the whole thing works because of the quarterback. Dak can work with anybody. He'll bring the best out in everybody. But if you think about them breaking the huddle now, Pickens goes and plays the X receiver. You move CD Lamb around. He can be your F, your inside guy. He can be your Z. He's going to be your motion guy. He's so good at that. Love the tight end. They're building the offensive line. There's a lot of really good things going on. But again, for me, it always goes back to Dak. He's the guy that's going to run the show. He's going to make all the different pieces work together for them. And I think they have the right mentality. They're trying to reestablish the line of scrimmage, run the football. They've used a lot of resources up front. And so when you do that and you add some weapons outside, those weapons are going to get a lot of single coverage, and Pickens and Lamb can take advantage of it.
So there he is. He's kind of drawing out for you what the Cowboys' weapons will look like when they break that huddle. And it sounds sexy to me. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and it's funny. I'm going to do a piece on this tonight. I got to be very tactical about the way I do it. But Colin Cowherd. I didn't agree with everything that Colin Cowherd said. But Colin Cowherd makes some very interesting points, and you'll see it tonight. And what I'll do is I'll just give you this part of it. Colin Cowherd emphasized what Jason Garrett just said. I'm telling you, people do not understand how good Dak Prescott is. Colin Cowherd, local Dak Prescott hater, said, and I quote, "The only reason why George Pickens works is Dak Prescott." Colin Cowherd says the intangibles that Dak Prescott has is his ability. One of the intangibles that he has is his ability to manage chaos. He said Dak has been doing this ever since he's been in Dallas. To be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, Colin Cowherd said people do not understand what that entails. It's not a young man's job per se. But he said, but when you think about Dak Prescott, he said the moment he came onto the Dallas Cowboys, he's managed the chaos. And he said the only reason why he believes this can work is Dak Prescott. Because he believes that Dak Prescott can work with George Pickens. Make George Pickens better. See, this is another one of these dumb things that people say about Dak Prescott that isn't true. The number of people that Dak Prescott has gotten paid is insane. Dak Prescott took CeeDee Lamb from the number 2 wide receiver to the number 1 wide receiver and put him on the map as a top 3 wide receiver. Dak did that. Dak did that. Throwing it to him when he was open, throwing it to him when he wasn't open, throwing him open. I mean, Dak Prescott did that. The Noah Browns, the Cedric Wilsons, the Dalton Schultz, even Amari Cooper. The best stint of his career is now been with Dak Prescott. Pickens, Colin Cowherd said the same thing. The only way this works is because of Dak Prescott. That Pickens could have there's probably hardly anywhere else Pickens could have went. There's only a handful of places he could have went. And this works. But because it's Dak Prescott, Colin Cowherd said this. That's how it works. And Jason Garrett is emphasizing the same thing. Dak Prescott. That's why this is going to work. Dak Prescott. If Dak stays healthy, I'm telling you, the Cowboys are about to have an incredible season. We're not talking about Super Bowl. I'm not saying that's not possible either. But we're not saying Super Bowl. But these boys are about to get busy. They are about to get busy. And depending upon how this season goes, the Cowboys may try to, hey, this could be a 2 or 3 season thing. It all depends on how he does this year and what he's going to be commanding on the market. But again, Dak Prescott is the key to all of this working. He's the key to this working. Because if you just imagine if one of these other quarterbacks were to wind up playing for the Cowboys, it'll be the same thing all over again. Playing with an incompetent quarterback. George Pickens came here because he wants to play with a competent quarterback. This is how George Pickens, I'm telling you, Dak continues to do this. George Pickens is going to get paid. If he comes in here and catches the ball, if he comes in here and runs his routes, if he comes in here and just be an absolute beast. And let me tell you something. We need some of what George Pickens is. Y'all remember when I asked y'all the question, I said, are the Cowboys overemphasizing character? And it's amazing. It's almost like it was almost like Brian Schottenheimer listened to me and said, we're not just emphasizing character. Well, I was the one who was asking that question. I didn't hear anybody else asking that question. I'm not saying that Brian Schottenheimer is listening to me. But I'm the only person I heard ask that question. Are we overemphasizing character? Brian Schottenheimer comes back and says, oh, yeah, but we want players too. We want players too. And they're going to quote something on here that Vash Lombardi said that I think that goes along even with what I'm talking about too. And I'm gonna let him say it so Vash Lombardi can get the credit. But I'm telling you, man, I'm absolutely telling us. There's a reason why they allow Pickens in this building. With the culture that they're building, there's a reason why they allow Pickens in this building. I said it the other day. Hey, man, they got Dak, they got CD, they got Micah Parsons, also Diggy Zua. We got these young guys. They're stepping into their own. I think we're getting back to what the 90s Cowboys used to be when Michael Irvin talked about it. Players held players accountable. That's even what Brian Schottenheimer is doing. And you think about it. Man, let me tell you something about this young dude, Tyler Booker. He's not going to let George Pickens come up in here and act a fool either. I'm just telling you now. He will not let George Pickens come up here and act a fool. Tyler Booker's not going to have it. Leaders empower leaders. This is Brian Schottenheimer's method to his madness. This is the method to his madness. Brian Schottenheimer wants the kind of players so that when we bring in a George Pickens, because we might have to bring in somebody that's so talented. We may have to bring in one of those guys that we're not saying he's a criminal, but maybe he has a little bit of questionable behavior. We need to build a locker room that's so strong that if we have a player that he is so talented that maybe we need a little bit of tolerance and somebody in the team that can say, you're not doing that here. Yeah, that's what you're building this kind of culture for. So that when you want to bring in that George Pickens. But again, I think George Pickens is going to be on, I'm not going to say he's going to be on his best behavior. I think George Pickens is going to be on good behavior, though. I do. Straight up, I think he's going to be on good behavior. My girl Angie, the Rebel Chicks, I see you up in here. What's going on? Bleeding Blue, he said you need at least one on the team, G. Yep. Dez was that dude for Romo. The playmaker was that dude for Aikman. And Starbuck had dudes on parole. Straight up. Straight up, Bleeding Blue. Starbuck played with all kinds of characters. All kinds of characters. But guess what? They had a culture because Tom Landry could manage it. Tom Landry could manage it. They had Roger Staubach. They had Drew Pearson. They had these guys like that who could manage it. That's the key. You want guys who can manage this. So I'm all good. I'm all good with this. Lisa Worley, what's going on? What up? What up? My girl Angie, she already in here giving commands. She said hit that like button. She said the likes are too low. I agree with her. Again, but they're all saying this. Dak Prescott is the key. Dak Prescott is the key. Let's go.
I am in for Oxnard. I'm officially back for Cowboys training camp. And one of the popular things now that you're starting to hear from all these analysts, the term they're starting to use for the boys is sneaky. I think they could be sneaky good. I could think they're a sneaky playoff team. They got sneaky offensive weapons. Schottenheimer could have a sneaky season. And here's Jason Garrett talking about their sneaky talent.
In Dallas, it's a high-profile organization. So what happens is everybody goes to the extreme. When they're really good, they have the best talent on the planet. No team has ever been. It's the greatest collection of players in the history because they're on TV, national TV, 13 out of 16 weeks. Everybody goes to the Pro Bowl, all of that. So it gets extreme that way. And then when they lose, they got nobody. And like a lot of things in life, it's in the middle. It's not quite as extreme when it's really good, and it's certainly not as bad as people are making it seem. If you just pull back and say, what do they have there? There are good pieces, and it starts with the quarterback. I do think the running back thing is still a question for them, but they're a talented team. They're not the most talented team in the league, but they're certainly not the least talented team. There's a lot to work with there.
We go too high with this team. When they're 12-5, I mean they're everywhere, right? They're good. They're always a good team. They're always a great team. But we sometimes go too high, and then I think we sometimes go too low on the flip side. That's the nature of being the Cowboys. That's the nature of being with the Lakers or the.
Now let me slip this in because they're a part of this. 105.3 The Fan is a part of this. Now I'm gonna let you hear the rest of his statement. And then I'm going to show you anybody who's in this DFW area, you're probably going to agree with me. But I want you to hear what they say next about this thing about, being too high on certain teams and being too low. And yeah, we understand it's the Cowboys and all this stuff. But listen to this. Check this out.
The Yankees are Alabama football.
Yeah, because I'm sorry. I did hear this part. I didn't hear the rest of it. I'm sorry. I did hear this part. Go ahead.
Reality of it.
I'll just speak for us. I disagree in this room.
Right, I'm talking about in general.
Yeah, but I'm just going to talk about for us. I don't recall when them having an 11-12 season where I'm like, yo, man, this team's going to the Super Bowl. This team. Now, I thought they would advance in years past.
Yeah,
I thought the year that San Fran came in here, I remember Brad Sham shaking his head. You're underestimating, I should say, the 49ers, and he was right about that. I thought they would beat San Francisco. And I thought they've had it set up for them, but never when they've been 11 or 12 wins have I really said, all right, we're going to be covering them.
Yeah, he's telling the truth. You know why? Because let me tell you something about 105.3 The Fan. I got respect for 105.3 The Fan. I appreciate a lot of the stuff that they do. But they have been very low on the Cowboys, even in winning seasons. I've listened to 105.3 The Fan for years. And anybody else in this DFW area who's listened to 105.3 The Fan, we've questioned whether or not they're even a fan of the team. Yeah, they are one of those people who get way too low on the Cowboys. They are. They get way low. And I don't know. I think this is one of the reasons why sometimes them and Bobby Belt clash. Anybody who's listened to this show, Bobby Belt and these two guys clash quite a bit. Because Bobby Belt will call them out on how they, and who knows, I don't know, maybe this is one of the reasons why he got on the show, but Bobby Belt even noticed how they are way low on the Cowboys, and they've been like this for a long time. So, yeah, I agree with him on the part of not being too high, but I think they've been one of the reasons why the fan base has been in such a sense of anxiety sometimes when it comes to this team. But, yeah, they're part of this too. They're guilty of it too.
Radio Row. And then when they have the horrible seasons, as you usually point out, it's because of injury.
A lot of times the quarterback gets hurt. And look, last year. That's true. Although I do think.
What did you say?
I said except last year. They were bad before that. They were bad before they got hurt.
They were. But
how many games did he play?
9,
half the season.
8. Yeah,
Okay.
they were like 3-5. They were 3-5 when they went to Atlanta, right?
Yeah, they were better. They were better after all the injuries. They had a better record after the injuries.
Defense solidified itself later in the second half of the year.
Yeah.
And had Dak been healthy, who knows, right? They're probably not. They're not going to win 10 games.
Yeah.
But were they 7-10? I don't think so. And yeah, last year had a lot of problems. One,
he missed over half the season.
So last year had their own problems going in. I still believe not giving the extension, at least a 1-year thing, impacted something.
Right.
Maybe not everything, but something. Changing the defensive coordinator, that wasn't a change.
You had to.
You had to. That impacted something. It wasn't no one thing you could pinpoint.
I love this answer from Jason Garrett. He would know better than anyone. How will Jerry...
Hold on, let me answer this. Reginald Jackson asked a very good question. He says, gee, why haven't you had any concerns on why the Steelers are letting a young, good receiver go, especially when they would have had Pickens and Metcalf as a tandem? Now, Reginald, I actually brought this up before the Cowboys picked up Pickens. I actually brought this up, I think, a little bit around draft time when people were starting to let the smoke come out that the Cowboys may be looking at Pickens, because I mentioned this like at least 2 to 3 times because I was kind of like, why wouldn't the Pittsburgh Steelers keep him? Why wouldn't they keep DK Metcalf? Because the reality is this. One of the problems they had is the same one the Cowboys had. It was George Pickens, and then they kind of fell off a cliff. Well, the question I had also, Reginald, was why would you not keep George Pickens and DK Metcalf on the same team? I asked that same question. But obviously they felt like once they got DK Metcalf, they were kind of going to go into rebuild mode. And so they're kind of feeling like they'll let George Pickens go, not worth the trouble for them. They'll let him go and they'll get them another wide receiver next year. So we know why they let him go. At least we know, at least in part, Reginald, because the contract wasn't even big. I mean, you're talking about a $4 million contract for a wide receiver of George Pickens' caliber. Is crazy. And they were willing to depart with him because, let's think about this, Reginald. I think there's another part of this. They're thinking about bringing in Aaron Rodgers. He took a break from the he took a break from the Swahili Mountains to come down and talk to the Pittsburgh Steelers, from what my understanding is. So it looks like Aaron Rodgers is going to reluctantly be the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers are dumb to me. I mean, I'm sorry. They just should have got Shedeur Sanders, who wanted to. I don't know if he necessarily wanted to play for them, but he wants to be an NFL quarterback. So why not get somebody who wants to play rather than somebody it seems like you're having to coerce to play? But I digress. If you remember, Reginald, I can't remember the wide receiver's name, but in New York, Aaron Rodgers was having all kinds of problems with that New York Jet wide receiver. Remember him? Aaron Rodgers and that New York Jet wide receiver. Y'all know his name. Let me see if I can remember his name. I'm sorry. And as a matter of fact, he was one of the wide receivers that people were saying that the Cowboys should trade for. I can't remember his name. I want to see if I can pull up his name. But I'll say it like this. Some of you will probably throw his name out at the bottom here and throw it out in the chat in just a moment. Now, The issue is, oh wait, hold on. Let's see. Is this the guy? Is it Alan Lazard? I think one of these wide receivers. Y'all tell me who it is, because some of y'all remember this thing. But Reginald, he had a huge conflict with Aaron Rodgers. So with the Steelers bringing in Aaron Rodgers. So what if their thinking is we don't want Pickens to give Rodgers the same type of issues that he had in New York? What if they didn't have that? I mean, what if they didn't want that again? Because a lot of people are saying that, Reginald, you're asking a question that a lot of people are kind of also responding to, because they're kind of like, well, what happens when CeeDee Lamb gets 12 passes and he gets 4? Well, I'm sure there's going to be a conversation about this. I'm sure there'll be a conversation about this, and has been a conversation about this. But at the same time, I have a feeling they're going to use George Pickens. No, he's going to be the big play receiver. CeeDee Lamb is going to be CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's going to be all over the place. George Pickens is going to allow CeeDee Lamb to do a whole lot of things that he couldn't do because it was just him. But he's going to be the big play receiver, I believe. What Pickens will lack in receptions, he'll make up for in spades in yards. He's going to be the big play guy. I guarantee you. He's going to be those throws that we saw Dak Prescott throwing to Kevontae Turpin that he dropped and tipped and stuff like that. He's going to be a better Michael Gallup. A bigger, better Michael Gallup. Bigger, better, more versatile, nastier Michael Gallup. So I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned as much because, Reginald, we're not dumb on why the Pittsburgh Steelers let him walk or they traded him. A third rounder for George Pickens' talent, hey, we're not dumb on that. But I'm not concerned again for the very answer that Jason Garrett gave and the one Colin Cowherd gave, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is going to throw the ball to George Pickens. We're not going to have to worry about it. George Pickens is not going to have to worry about it. Dak Prescott's going to throw him the ball. Unequivocally, Dak Prescott's going to throw him the ball. And there will be games. There will be games where George Pickens will be the leading receiver on this team. There will be games where he'll be the leading receiver. I think his biggest issue was he didn't have the quarterback to throw it to him. And he wasn't being able to produce the way that he knows that he can produce. I think the Cowboys are going to give him that opportunity. There will be games he'll have the most receptions. He'll have the most yards. He'll have games on. I guarantee he'll have games this year. He'll probably score a couple of touchdowns. I think he'll be good. And I do think they're going to be able to manage, again, Reginald, I'm not as worried too, because he's going to mess himself out of a $100 million deal if he comes in here clowning. That's another reason why I'm not worried. I'm not worried because if he doesn't come in on his best behavior, Reginald, he messes himself out of $80 to $100 million. Because it's already being reported. He doesn't want an extension. He wants to come in on a prove-it deal. So what does he have to prove? We already know he can play. What he has to prove is, can he be mature enough that if he's not getting 10 targets, can he be mature enough with the Dallas Cowboys so that people are looking at him? Because I'm telling you, he's going to get the yards. He's going to get the touchdowns. He's even going to get the receptions. I'm telling you, I am not going to be surprised if CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens are 1,000-yard receivers. I'm not going to be surprised. I'm not even going to be surprised if George Pickens has more touchdowns than CeeDee Lamb. Why? Because CeeDee Lamb is a yards after the catch guy. And so you think about it. He's a yards after the catch guy. Jalen Tolbert had more touchdowns last year than CeeDee Lamb. So it will not be a surprise if George Pickens has more touchdowns than CeeDee Lamb. Why? Because George Pickens isn't he's not, to me, when I look at him, he's not the move the chains. He can move the chains, but he's the chunk yardage wide receiver. He's the chunk yardage guy. He's the guy when I say, hey, I'm just throwing this thing up. Can you go get it? I'm about to throw this thing 40 yards down the sideline. George, can you just go get this? People talk about his separation. I put this on X the other day. If you look at George Pickens on tape, you look at that separation and you go, okay, it's 2.1. But then when you look at him on tape, you go, okay, I see why it's 2.1. Because a lot of the passes or some of the passes they throw to him, there is no separation and he still comes down with the ball. So again, yeah, I'm not worried about George Pickens. I think George Pickens is going to shock a lot of people this year. I think he's going to shock a lot of people this year. And again, playing with Dak Prescott is going to be so good for him. He's playing with a quarterback finally. He's playing with a quarterback. Lisa says, I really like that they picked up Pickens more than I wanted them to pick Cooper Kupp. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think he's going to be fine, though, Reginald. Yeah, I think he's going to be fine. But, yeah, I'm sure it's in the back of the Cowboys' mind because the Cowboys also have this set up, and I didn't realize this the other day when I first was looking at this when they got him. This is a win-win for the Cowboys because even if this is a one-year rental for George Pickens, if George Pickens goes somewhere else and gets picked up, which he will, of course, well, the Cowboys will get that. They'll get the third round compensatory pick, if I'm not mistaken. They'll get that pick back if the way that someone was explaining the collective bargaining agreement. So the Cowboys are really not losing in this situation. The only way they would be losing in this situation is he come out here and just ball out of his mind, and then he tells the Cowboys thanks but no thanks because I'm going to go somewhere and sign a $25 million a year deal, which I don't think the Cowboys are going to get him or are going to give him. So, and this is one of the reasons why, since we're right here, this is one of the reasons why Dallas Cowboy fans, wide receiver 3 has now become one of the most important positions for the Cowboys now. Wide receiver 3. Because whoever that wide receiver 3 is, if George Pickens leaves, they're probably going to be the number 2. This is why I was saying yesterday or the day before, none of these wide receivers should come into camp saying, oh, well, they got George Pickens. He's the number 2. We're the number 3. No, you still need to be battling for that number 2 spot. You still need to be battling. 1, we never know what's going to happen. 2, this can easily be a 1-year rental for the Cowboys. Easily be a 1-year rental for the Cowboys. Number 3, there will be teams that will probably dedicate more resources, not only to one of these receivers, but to both of them. The number 3 receiver on this team should absolutely eat now. We got a chain reaction of things. We keep looking at this as CeeDee Lamb is going to get some pressure relieved off of him. He's got George Pickens. Has anybody ever thought about what George Pickens is thinking? I finally got a wide receiver that gets some pressure off me. I finally got a wide receiver that deserves so much attention that now I am going to get some. Now I'm going to be able to even more eat one-on-ones, things of that nature. This is as beneficial for George Pickens as it is for CeeDee Lamb. And if you're the third receiver on this team, and if you can really play, oh, you about to eat too. You're about to eat because those 2 receivers are going to command a lot of attention. The third receiver on this team, if he's any good, oh, he's going to eat. He's going to eat. This is why if I was Mingo or Tolbert or any of these other receivers, shoo, boy, I'm fired up coming into this camp. I'm fired up coming in this camp because people are talking about CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. No, number 3 on this team going to eat too. Man, this number 3 receiver going to eat. I'm coming in this thing fired up. Now, I said this the other day. In jest, but I'm going to tell you where I am right now. I didn't want Amari Cooper to be the number 2. But if the Cowboys want to bring him in for the number 3, shoot, man. Boy, you want to talk about, because the number 3, I'm telling you, the number 3 on this offense is going to be very important too. Boy, I'd love to bring in Keenan Allen. Man, Keenan Allen with these 2 receivers. I mean, if you're in win now mode, because it looked like the Cowboys are starting to be in win now mode. Man, you in win now mode? Hey, man, shoot, I'm just saying. It wouldn't hurt my feelings if they went and got Keenan Allen. Now that you got Pickens, go get Keenan Allen. See if he'll play for $6 or $7 million. See if he'll play for $6 million. Go get him. See what Amari Cooper. See if he'll play for $4 or $5 million. Shoot, go get him. You got that trio of wide receivers. It would be insane. It would be insane. And having somebody like Amari Cooper, who we know from time to time gets injured. Well, maybe he wouldn't get injured as much at the 3rd receiver. You go and get a guy like him, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying rob the young guys. If Mingo and Tolbert really step up, then don't even worry about it. But they really need to make another step. Because with the way and how versatile CeeDee Lamb is, see, CeeDee Lamb can line up inside and outside. CeeDee Lamb may want to play inside sometimes. So whoever that number 3 wide receiver is, he get to play outside sometimes. Maybe he's the read. Maybe he's the matchup that you're like, hey, we're going to take advantage of this today because their number 1 and 2 corners are really good. So our number 3, he can eat. The number 3 wide receiver on this team this year is going to be important. He is. Tolbert needs to step up. For sure. He needs to step up on every single level. But again, we're going to talk some more about this. Let's hear some more of this and I'll come to some comments.
Jones view the antics of the diva wide receiver coming in.
This is the kind of guy that Jerry Jones loves. Jerry Jones loves the George Pickens. He loves the guy who's talented, maybe troubled somewhere else. We can try to create the right environment for him and get the most out of him. That's why the Cowboys through the years have picked a lot of guys that were deemed to be first-round talent in the 2nd round. Maybe they had an injury. Maybe they had a character flaw. Let's give this guy a chance and see if we can get the best out of him. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. I think a lot has to do with the environment around the guy at the time. I felt like when I was the head coach there, we drafted a lot of really, really good players who are also great people. Tyron Smith, Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, Dak Prescott, these kinds of guys, they could help you absorb maybe a couple of these guys that weren't quite the character guy that you want. They weren't the Boy Scout necessarily. But when you have a lot of other great people around them who kind of show them the way, they stick out like a sore thumb if they start doing the other stuff. And oftentimes that can help them change their ways. So I think Jerry's probably feels like this is an environment where they can do that. And they see the talent and they see how we can help the offense. So they say, let's take a shot.
Voch Lombardi tweeted something yesterday, kind of connected with Garrett to what Garrett just said. You don't build a leadership culture to keep divas out. You build leadership so they can lead the divas.
That's the thing, is that great culture is not about just blocking out anybody who's a problem.
Shout out to Voch Lombardi. That's a great saying. Now, again, you can't have a lot of them knuckleheads now. you can't litter your team with knuckleheads everywhere. But I'm adding to what Voch said. You build a culture, because Shannon Sharp was the one that I heard say this. Shannon Sharp said you can have at least one. Shannon Sharp said every team can have one knucklehead. Every team can have one knucklehead. And let's not call George Pickens a knucklehead. But I know what Shannon Sharp is saying. You can have one of these type of players. If you build your locker room to where you can handle it. And at the same time, you may be the very thing that he needed. You may be the very thing that he needs. Because again, you got to think about being on Mike Tomlin's team. It's got to be pretty tough. I mean, he's a great leader of men, but he don't seem to care hardly anything about offense. I mean, if you ask me, they don't seem to care nothing about offense. They always seem to be able to get, these great wide receivers, but they haven't had a quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger. And he didn't get Ben. They have not had under his watch, a quarterback that he's picked, and they haven't been offensively good since Big Ben Roethlisberger. So it could be frustrating being on a Mike Tomlin team if you are, and again, man, they better do something about DK Metcalf. I mean, DK Metcalf is now in the same situation as George Pickens. He's the number one wide receiver. There's a fall off after him. Well, who's the doggone quarterback? I mean, what is Aaron Rodgers? We don't even know what he is. I mean, we know what the old Aaron Rodgers is. We don't know what this Aaron Rodgers is. So, again, see, one of the things with Pickens, again, immensely talented. But of him, it was more of the attitude thing. But again, just being up under what he's been under with Mike Tomlin, not condoning the behavior. But this is probably one of the things that frustrated him, just not quite mature enough to handle it. Not quite mature enough to handle it. So maybe with the Cowboys and Dak Prescott and these other guys, they're going to be able to really kind of, hey, man, we're building something here. None of that stuff. We got stuff for you. We're gonna get you plays. We're going to get you 5 to 6. He's got to understand he's not going to get that all the time. But I do believe there'll be games he'll have the most receptions. He'll have a couple of touchdowns. I believe there will be games like that. He's pretty nasty. Intelligent Savage said absolutely. He could be getting George Pickens for a 2027 fifth-round pick if he wishes not to stay with the Cowboys. It's a win-win for the Cowboys on this thing. Yeah, it's a win-win. Yeah, he's the best. He's really the best one-year rental they could have got. He really is the best one-year rental because if he walks, you get compensation. If he walks, you get compensation. And then you get to go into next year's draft and you will be able to get the best wide receiver available when it comes around to the first round. And you just do it like that. And you keep getting younger, you keep it moving. But for us right now, he's going to be great. And I see Cowboys 5 rings. What's up? Good to see you in the crib. Cowboys 5 rings. Trayshawn Holden. Let me tell you something. I would love to see Trayshawn Holden. I'd love to see him work his way all the way up. I would. Holden needs to make it. He's better than Brooks. I'd like to see him do it. CD and Pickens and Holden will be scary 3-headed monster. But I can tell you this, Holden going to have to work. And I'm glad the way the Cowboys have set this up. I'm telling you, boy, they put this dude Holden, we looked at this and we were like, this crazy. But again, this may be another way of saying, work your butt off. You deserve to be on this team? Show us. Because we're going to make you show us. Because we're only giving you $3,000 and it's not guaranteed. Yeah, Holden may be, Holden might turn out to be a monster, but at the same time, he going to push other players. What the Cowboys have created is genius. But let's listen to this next one on Jason Garrett. Let's go.
In order to have a great culture, the idea is like you can handle Pickens. It's not that you prevented Pickens from coming in here. It's that you can handle Pickens better than other people can. You can handle Charles Haley. You can handle all the different guys that came along during the 90s Cowboys runs. Yep. That's what culture is ultimately about, more than just making sure you've got nothing but Eagle Scouts in here. Like you want to make sure that you've got guys that are talented, that were bought low on because nobody else could handle them. And you say, like, that's something we can withstand. And that's going to be a big part of it. So I think that's the misunderstanding you had from some friends yesterday who were like, you're supposed to block out anybody like Pickens. It's like, no, if Schottenheimer's talking about establishing a certain kind of culture, then that's supposed to mean that Pickens would thrive here if nowhere else.
Yeah, and y'all remember I talked about this early on too. Because when you start talking about character, guys, you always want to dig into the core of, okay, so let's say we get a guy like Pickens. Okay, what are we talking about? We're talking about a bad guy. Are we talking about a guy that's bad to the core that just does dumb things for the sake of doing dumb things? Are we talking about somebody who made a mistake, one time, maybe somebody hanging out with the wrong people? George Pickens, I do think he's one of these guys you have to really dig into the core and say, okay, I at least want to know why was he acting like this? And then when you look at the issue, the same one I brought up weeks ago, now people are bringing it up, but look at the quarterbacks he played with. I mean, when you start digging in like that, and then you kind of figure out, okay, so maybe he's not a bad guy per se. Maybe he's a little bit immature. Can we help him to mature with our culture? Can we help him do it? Because that's really the culture that you're trying to build in a sense, because there may be some guys sometimes that they may be so talented. And then when you dig into the core, you go, well, they're not really a bad guy. It's this, and this. Well, our culture is the very culture that can help them be exactly who they want to be and what they think they can be. That's also what a good culture is for. The good culture is not just to have all the good guys. The good culture is also sometimes for redemption. You want a culture where people can be redeemed. Maybe a team throws away a player. San Francisco 49ers and Charles Haley, prime example. Immensely talented. Into it with his team. Let's bring him here. We got a culture he can thrive in. We got a quarterback in Troy Aikman. We got a pros pro in Troy Aikman. We got Emmitt Smith. We got Michael Irvin. We got this offensive line. We got this defensive line. We got so many of these great players. Man, bring him in. He might not work anywhere else but here. Same thing I'm saying about George Pickens. You think about it. Dak Prescott is what? He's probably one of the oldest. He's one of the oldest quarterbacks in the league. I mean, think about it. He's one of the oldest. What, Dak got to be what, top 4 oldest? I can't even think off the top of my head. Who would be older than Dak Prescott in this league? This might be the perfect destination for George Pickens. And having somebody like that as at the head of your locker room.
They brought T.O. in, right? When they brought, I remember that was, and Bill, it was no secret. Bill wasn't like.
Romo couldn't handle T.O., though.
Right? But
yeah, when you don't refer to the person by name, you're definitely not over the player.
And
God, I wish I could have covered that.
Oh my God,
you would have loved it.
Romo was in a much different portion of his career than Dak was. Like Romo had no skins on the wall.
Yeah, he couldn't handle T.O.
He didn't start. I mean, he was. That was like he came into the season like midway through. He had 0 skins. He couldn't check T.O.
Yeah.
Nope.
And I always thought the T.O. attitude here, I thought he was fine. I thought T.O. was largely fine. He had his blow-ups, but he was largely fine. Dak is in a much different position.
And you bring that up. Jason Garrett doing the interview reaction yesterday with Mike Florio and Chris Sims. He said all this is going to go back to number 4.
Yeah.
That's why it goes back to the quarterback for me.
Yeah.
Because the quarterback's the guy who has to develop the relationship with. He's the guy who's going to spend the most time with. And so he understands. Pickens knows that if I develop a relationship with Dak, he's going to throw me the ball. I'm going to have a lot of success, all of that.
Yeah.
I think Dak fully understands that. And I think that's the key relationship here. Ownership, organizational structure, head coach, very important, obviously. But if you can take the next step and you have an established quarterback, I think that helps it. It helps that guy be less malcontented, if you will. And in Pittsburgh, when he's been there, the quarterback situation's been up in the air.
Right.
I don't think they'd have the same issues if Ben Roethlisberger was the quarterback. Antonio Brown had a lot of good years there. And a lot of that had to do with Roethlisberger's presence. And I think the same thing can happen in Dallas with Dak.
Great points.
I feel you, Robert Simmons.
You heard with your additional phone calls yesterday about Pickens and who he played with.
Yeah, I think for George Pickens, a big part of this whole temperament problem that he had was frustration with who he was playing with. I mean, it's Mitchell Trubisky throwing him the ball. It's Mason Rudolph. It's Justin Fields.
Said the same
Russell
thing,
Wilson.
Bobby.
Like, Russell Wilson was probably the best quarterback he played with, and Russell Wilson is
and he
a
wasn't
guy
good.
nobody really wants right now, other than the Giants, I guess. But no, I think that this will be a turning point, I think, for Pickens, just because he wants to get paid. He's going to be on his best behavior.
Yep.
He's growing up. He's getting older. I think this is probably a little bit of an awakening for him too, of just like, I'm pretty damn good and you guys just couldn't wait to get rid of me. Okay.
I could tell by your face you wanted to.
Now, Reginald, and like I said, you're making good points. I heard, but also I heard his quarterback in college. I heard this, and again, Reginald, I think this is really a part of the diva in him. I think he's basically telling the world I'm better than what anybody thinks I am. My quarterback play has just been bad. But I can tell you this, the buck stops here. He won't get that excuse no more. No, Dak going to throw him the ball. He's not going to have that excuse no more. He will get the ball in Dallas because we needed a number 2. He going to get the ball in Dallas. He's not always going to get the ball in Dallas, but he'll get the ball in Dallas. And you know how these wide receivers are too. Even CeeDee Lamb has been like this over the last couple of seasons. You know how these wide receivers are when they're not getting the ball. They get antsy. We saw CeeDee Lamb collapse in the 2023 playoffs. We saw CeeDee Lamb tripping when he came back in 2024 because he was rusty after sitting out the whole training camp. We've seen some of this behavior from CeeDee Lamb. So that diva mentality is really in a lot of these wide receivers. And a lot of people will tell you that you want a wide receiver that wants the ball. At least that's what I hear. You want them to want the ball. What you don't want them to do is have, just go overboard with some of the attitude. But yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. Yeah, Iceberg Slim. This is why I'm saying, yes, sir, wide receiver 3 spot will be epic this training camp. Tolbert, Mingo, Flournoy, Holden. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. Man, I'm absolutely loving it, boy. Hey, and again, I'm telling y'all, the number 3 wide receiver for this team, it is now become the battle at training camp, but it's also become one of the most important positions on the team. Because I'm telling y'all, there will be teams. Philadelphia Eagles kind of come to mind. There will be teams, if you make the playoffs, there will be teams that even when you have 2 receivers, you need a third one. You do. You're going to need a third one. Because I'm going to tell you something about this league. This league, these defensive coordinators are so doggone smart. They're so smart, man. They are. They are smarter than people give them credit for. I don't care how good you are. These doggone defensive coordinators, they will lose 3 days of sleep. And they will study tape after tape after tape. They'll go back and look at teams who had success on both of you. They'll go back and look at the games where a team had success on you and then a team had success on you. And they'll come out and run a combination of that. And they will find ways. If they can't stop you, they'll slow you down. And that's when you got to pull the next rabbit out of the hat. Did you know we had a third wide receiver too? 1 wide receiver, pretty easy to take out of the game. 2 wide receivers, almost impossible to take out of a game. 3 wide receivers, it is impossible. You don't take 3 out of a game. I don't care what you do. You can't take 3 wide receivers out of a game. You cannot take 3 great wide receivers out of a game. Not to mention, if Ferguson do what he's supposed to do down the seam, it's over. Cowboys got a. We're not gonna go juggernaut yet, but they're on the road. They're on the road the way the Philadelphia Eagles were after the 2022 season. They're on the road. They're on the road.
Vocab check, Mr. Princeton, on that word.
Malcontented.
I just don't know if malcontented is. He may be right.
Did you look at Google it?
But I'll look at. I don't think malcontented is a word.
I do believe Princeton is a good school. And I think they specialize in English.
Malcontented is not a
Or
word.
are they math? I don't know.
Malcontented is not a word. You should have been able to check this with me because you're the English minor.
I'm the English minor because I took an extra literature, American lit course or English lit.
Malcontented is a word.
Frankenstein twice.
Malcontented is a word.
1053 in order to
Yeah, it
hit
is.
us up here
It's a
on
word.
the home of the Cowboys. Probably last one for now. You talk about Dak's leadership. Give us an inside story, Jay Jeezy, of why he is so good behind the scenes.
Then he gets the opportunity to play because Tony gets hurt. Kellen Moore was another one of our backups. He got hurt. So Dak's thrust into it. And it was amazing how well the team responded to him. And I asked him about it halfway through the season. I think we were 9-1 at the time. And I had him in my office. I said, how are you doing this? I mean, how are you getting these guys to play for you? You know, as a rookie, it's hard to do. You got a lot of established players, Pro Bowl players that you're playing with, and they're just so receptive to your leadership. And he said, you know, I can't stand there and make some kind of a speech or be out in front, but what I can do is develop relationships with guys. And you know, so he would be in the locker room. They would play hamper basketball till all hours of the night. You know, it would be, you know, we're going to practice, we're going to watch film, we'll do our meetings, we'll do all that. And then 2 hours later, we're in a staff meeting upstairs, and you hear these guys hooting and hollering. I go downstairs, there's 20 guys in the locker room playing hamper basketball, and Prescott's leading it all, you know? So it's that kind of stuff where he develops one-on-one relationships. They get to know each other. And when you do that, as Michael Irvin told me many, many years ago, you have a voice. And that's what you want in life. You want to have a voice. So it's time spent, and he understands how to do that. He does as well as anybody I've been around.
I just think Jason in that type of setting, I mean, I thought he was fantastic. Really, really good perspectives from all angles on the Pickens deal.
Yeah, this is why I always thought he'd be really good doing the analyst role. It hasn't been as good as I thought it would have been, but I always thought it would, because he is, I feel like, really good at talking about like breaking down the mechanics of the game. And when you hear him story, he may just be a better like studio host.
I think in studio with those highlight shows, it's not long enough for him.
He needs long form.
He needs long form.
Yeah.
And if you say, all right, Jason, give me a 30-second clip versus a minute 30, he's going to be much better in the minute. He can fill the time. He's got the education. He's got the stories. He's got the energy. You know, you can be cheesy in those 20, 25, 30-second clips.
Yeah, look, he is he has a really good recall.
Yeah.
Right. He's very smart.
He loves the history of it.
He's a good storyteller. That's like half the battle. Podcast world he'd be great in.
I was going to say, if there was a Jason Garrett podcast, I would listen to probably every episode.
Because, you know, he probably is, for all of his faults that he has as a coach, I liked him as a coach, but he had faults. Like he probably is a very smart football guy anyway, right?
Yeah.
He is. You know, he's a smart guy in general. I could see how he would be great in those long form roles, but
and you can see why guys would really, really like him too.
Oh yeah, he's a leader. He's a leader. You know, I also think the further he gets away from the game, and he comes to the realization that he's never going to coach again, he might open up a little bit more.
All right, so last thing on the deal, Scooter Magruder, Cowboy fan. He does these videos where I think he tries to encapsulate, no need to vocab my American University education. He tries to go ahead and recap the emotions of everyone when something like this happens. See how many of these landed for you. Scooter Magruder with a little comedy, Cowboy Pickens reaction.
So are we getting George Pickens or not? They said last night it was a done deal. Did you see CD's tweet last night? It's foreshadowing. I'll believe it when I see it. We got George Pickens! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Yeah, I watched this guy.
And, they gave us a Wait, what did we trade? We traded a 3rd round pick in 2026 and a 5th round pick in 2027, and they gave us a 6th round pick in 2027. This almost makes up for trading Amari Cooper for a 5th round pick. I know it's only for a year, but we're probably gonna give him a new deal. This is weird. I'm actually proud of Jerry Jones. Now how's our draft looking? There's a reason we didn't draft a wide receiver too. Is this a dream? Let Jerry cook. Is Omar Khan the worst GM in the league? I'm gonna have to get an Omar Khan Steelers jersey so Jerry Jones doesn't hate
I watched this Dallas, dude. He's funny.
Receiver core in the NFC East now. I don't care if he's a hothead. I would be too if I lived in Pittsburgh. Malik Neighbors about to find out why George Pickens was so mad last year. Who's going to be the third receiver?
What up,
CD
Niecy?
in the slot? The Steelers got absolutely fleeced. Embrace the drama. They got a second-round pick for Chase Claypool, but a third-round pick for George Pickens. You see the Jordan Lewis tweet? This makes up for the Roy Williams stream. I don't know, man. This could negatively affect the locker room. Ain't nobody trying to hear that nonsense. He's 24 years old and a bona fide threat. You sound soft right now. So now you want to cry when Jerry Jones actually does something? He has the same agent as Micah? Jerry Jones better get to know him now. Hear me out. We still sign Amari Cooper. I actually have hope this season. If we stay healthy, we can have the best offense in the league. I can't believe we got the wide receiver from the meme. I don't want to say it, but this is our year, baby. Let's go.
The things he hit on for me,
Scooter
compensation, we're all trying to figure out. Oh, it's a fifth, becomes a sixth.
We get one back, but they also throw one extra one.
Yeah, the Jerry props, the all-in storyline. Was this part of the draft plan? The Jordan Lewis tweet. David Mulugeta, knowing his name now. David ever respond to you yesterday?
He liked something I said, but I'll tell you during the break.
But he's not coming on.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so there it is. I think Scooter McGroot, he does a good job.
You know, like when you have, to me, like I want to.
Robert Dudley says Dallas's offense is going to stretch out defenses. Man, let me tell you. Let's pull this up real quick. Appreciate 105.3 The Fan. I keep looking at this Cowboys depth chart. This Cowboys depth chart, man, I'm telling you, once you added George Pickens, it just started looking bonkers. This thing looks bonkers on offense, man. This is bonkers. Pickens, Tolbert, Lamb. Bonkers. And guys, let me tell you something. There's another reason. If I'm Tolbert, Mingo, Turpin's going to get his. They're going to let Turpin do his thing. If I'm Ryan Flanoy, if I'm Trayshawn Holden, and I'm saying this because this is kind of what I see making the team. When I look at these guys, they ought to be right now working out. They ought to be working out right now because there will be times that they will be asked to come in the game. At the X, at the Y, at the Z. You never know when they be asked to come in. Maybe one of these players needs a breather. Hey, need one of you guys come in. You never know the circumstances. The Cowboys have created such competition that these guys I believe the whole wide receiver crew on this team, whatever makes the team, it's going to contribute. It's going to contribute. They will get time. Jonathan Mingo, it will not surprise me if he lines up outside from time to time. It's not going to surprise me. It's not going to surprise me if Tolbert lines up outside from time to time. Maybe we'll even see Ryan Flanoy get worked in. I want to see if Paris Campbell got something in him to where he can work his way on to staying on the Dallas Cowboys team and not just being on the team, but can Paris Campbell, with all that speed, can he turn some heads? Trayshawn Holden, can he turn himself into that wide receiver he turned himself into in college at Oregon? But when you look at this Cowboys offense, man, this thing looks crazy. This thing looks crazy, man. You got Pickens, Lamb on the outside, Tolbert in the slot, interchangeable with Mingo, whoever wins that. The offensive line, I think we're looking pretty good. Still got to see what Ferguson is because I would not be opposed. I mean, not Ferguson. We got to still see what Tyler Guyton is. And if Tyler Guyton ain't what he needs to be, I am not opposed to Tyler Guyton moving to where Terrence Steele is, if Terrence Steele isn't up to par, and moving Austin Richardson there and get this thing going. But in the middle, Smith, Cooper, and Tyler, shoot. They ready. A gap, B gaps, they're ready. They're ready. They just need to get the left tackle and the right tackle thing figured out. Ferguson, Man, I'm hoping Ferguson comes back and have a great season. But again, he better get ready because Rivaldo and Neville, these are the two guys he really needs to be worried about. Him and Schoonmaker need to be worried about these two guys. They need to be worried about Fairweather and Neville. Even Brevin Spanford, but even he needs to be worried about those two guys. They are going to be nice. And then when you get to the running back position, I don't know why we got Javonte Williams in here. No. I'm looking at Jaden Blue and I'm looking at Phil Maffa. That's what I'm looking at. Man, this Cowboys offense, boy, they got some playmakers right now. I believe they got some playmakers. Jaden Blue, Phil Maffa. I'm ready for the offense to really move towards those guys. I've already seen Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams. Sanders is probably going to be the odd man out faster than anybody. I think Sanders may be the odd man out real quick. Him, Deuce Vaughn, we'll see. Deuce Vaughn may be practice squad. They they might be doing this as a favor for his father. But I'm telling you, when you think about this whole thing, man, it is, boy, Cowboys offense looks so good. It really does. And again, when you compare this to the 2023 team, I ain't even thinking about that 2024 team. When you compare this to the 2023 team that won 12 games, it looks better. It looks better. It looks way, way better. So, again, man, hats off to the Cowboys. They've really done a great job. So let's move over to this next story. Brian brought us. This story came up right before I came on. How will George Pickens? Let me see here. They're just getting stories and stories and stories. So there's so many now that they're coming up. Let's see here. I think we listened to some of this. I mean, they had a conversation the other day. Let's see what they're saying today. Hopefully it's not too long of a video. Let's see. It's 41 minutes, so we're not going to list all of it. And I think I thought this was the same one we listened to the other day.
Business, even this trade right here, it's awesome, but they have plenty of other needs.
Okay, this is the one we listened to the other day, but I guess they reposted it or something. But there's another one on here. We'll check this one out. Broadus is on this one too. It's 8 minutes. Just came up. Let's check this out. 105.3 The Fan. If you hadn't subscribed to their channel, please go do it. They cover not only Cowboys, but all kinds of everything Dallas sports. Go check them out.
Cowboys, they did an old school Cowboy thing, kind of, didn't they? This is the Jerry Jones I remember.
Yeah.
Okay, Daddy grabbed the wheel and said, Steven, get out of my way. We're trading for a guy with some star power. And we're going to make the offense maybe significantly better here with a trade for George Pickens early this morning. Great job by Brian Broaddus helping break this story.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Bobby and I were having conversations at 5 this morning about it. And last night, things were kind of materializing there that maybe that we were going to get a deal done here. But this is a deal that a general manager who's not going to get fired makes, because you're giving up a 3 and a 5 with no safety net. No guarantee that this player is going to resign with you. No guarantee that maybe you get a contract done. He could play outstanding, see his value, and then move on from you. So this is a bold move in that way of trying to help your team, trying to help your offense with a player that has a lot of this Des Bryant type of ability to him. And I said this, this kid, I say kid because he's 24 years old. This player, he's got, if we were all talking about McMillan, and I brought it up in the crosstalk, this player, when you look at Pickens, he is as much of a Ted McMillan of what we saw from him, just a faster version of him. Now McMillan's much faster. Like McMillan, I mean, I'm talking like in the rain when you start to
talk about, said he was on the plate.
You see him in when he's taking on defensive backs, crossing routes, things like that. The way that he's able to run, the way he's able to separate. But when you start to tie, and you can see why the Cowboys like McMillan so much, because his ability to go get the football.
Mm-hmm.
This guy goes and gets the football.
Yeah, contested balls.
Contested ball, downfield plays, crossing routes, anything that you want to throw him. Now, not a big route tree. Not a big route tree from the Steelers. But play him in bunch, bring him in motion. There's a lot of things you could do with this guy because of his ability. Those hands, the hands he has are rare.
Bunches, motion.
Now, Pickens Pickens is the Gallup. And I don't even want to call him Gallup 2.0. I want to call him, you remember when Terminator 2, and they went from Arnold Schwarzenegger to the liquid, when they went to the liquid Terminator? I would call George Pickens, if I was calling him Michael Gallup, I would call him Michael Gallup 2000. Yeah, George Pickens is way more explosive than Michael Gallup ever was. Way more explosive, way more nasty. I mean, in every sense of the word, he is a just way better Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup would go up and get a pass too. But the thing about Pickens, very strong for the frame. Pickens is very strong, man. He gangster out there. He really is. He gangster out there. People talking about he's going to give number two cornerbacks fits. This dude has been going up against number one cornerbacks. He's been giving number one cornerback fits. Man, this man might make some number two. He might literally make some number two cornerbacks get their job taken. I mean, this dude can go up against ones and twos. And he's one of those dudes that, and this is something that the Cowboys have been missing over the last couple of seasons. He's one of them dudes that if Dak throws one of those contested balls, if Dak throws in double coverage, he fighting to get it. He gonna fight to get it. He one of them type. He got some Dez Bryant in him. He does. He gonna fight. He's gonna go and get that ball, man. I'm telling you. He is. I don't mind getting in a couple of guys' faces every now and then. He gonna go up and get it. He is. So Pickens, man, I'm telling you. Pickens is, at the end of the day, he's a great pickup for the Cowboys. And you don't need him to run routes. That's not what you're getting him for. We didn't have Michael Gallup to run routes. That's not what we had Michael Gallup for. That's what we had the other wide receivers for. Michael Gallup was our, hey, we're going to throw it up to you. You're our up the sideline guy. You're our acrobatic catch guy. You're that guy. You're the guy that's going to make the big play. Well, George Pickens is the same thing. Doesn't mean George Pickens is not going to do some other things for us too. But George Pickens is a big play wide receiver. He's not going to have a problem. He is not going to have a problem. I'm good. I think he's going to be good. Hallelujah. Said people acting like we have 100 spots on the team. Nope. I said it the other day. Hallelujah. Somewhere we're going to cut this off. I mean, somewhere, but you can only have 53 men on a roster. That's all you can have. For sure. Intelligent Savage, he says, salute to Brian Broaddus, who really embraces the YouTube community and has done great work with Vosh Lombardi and others. He has, hasn't he? Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Broaddus isn't like some of his counterparts. They were dissing on the community. Not him. No, not him. Daniel M., he said, I think another trade is coming for the Cowboys. I think it's going to be for another defensive tackle or cornerback. Yeah, we'll talk about cornerback here in just a moment. We're going to listen to this. After this video, we're going to go to cornerback because I do think that it's probably, I don't think defensive tackle is not a must for the Cowboys. I'm sorry, it's not. It is not a must for the Cowboys. It's something that can we use another defensive tackle? Well, I don't know. Maybe you can always use another good defensive tackle. But the expectation is that Mazi Smith is going to take another step. That is the expectation. Also, Digizua is only going to get better. You're waiting on Mazi to take that next step. And so not only are you expecting Mazi to take that next step, what are we talking about? We got Solomon Thomas. So do we think he chopped suey? No, this dude's going to play. Solomon Thomas can play. He can play this game. He'll be good at nose tackle. Trust me when I tell you, he'll be fine. And then you got Jay Toia? He's not going to come in and tear the league up. We got to I hope people are tempering their expectations. But what he will do is I do believe he will immediately play a part in the run game. Immediately. He's got some work to do. when you kind of look at his scouting report and then you kind of look at the tape, the scouting report is accurate. Straight on, right now, Jay Toia he'll be great. But we all know that's college. That's not this league. That's college. These guys in the league ain't running like that. The league runs all kinds of fancy run schemes. They're not running straight at you. They don't run at you. They run at you in angles. They might run at you in angles. They may run around you. They may fake you one way and go another one. But I do think he'll make an impact in short yardage, goal line and stuff like that. But in the scouting report, one of the things they talk about, that if it's not in front of him, he struggles a little bit. He'll learn that in the pros. That's where he'll have to get better over the next 2 to 3 seasons. And we already know these defensive linemen, man, they take a little bit of time to develop. But again, I think cornerback is probably where we probably need to be focusing next if we really want to say we're going to try to improve the team. It's probably going to be cornerback. We'll look at that in just a moment.
Maybe just another hint of the kind of offense that we're going to have. And absolutely, if you get great coordination amongst your offensive line and your backs and your receivers, there is plenty of room for one guy to be like, get me the ball guy and watch me be, an incredible athlete. I think this absolutely explains why they didn't take the wide receiver in the draft. This is also, what Jerry had to be hinting towards with possible trades. Is this it, Brian? Could there be more?
What, more trades? More?
Yeah.
No,
Another move?
I think right now they're done. Now we'll see what happens maybe in June 1. Is there somebody out there that gets
June
released?
1.
Do they have some money available? But right now, I don't think. I know people were talking about a running back and stuff like that. I've just kind of hammered these guys about the wide receiver thing. They were saying, hey, we're looking at a lot of guys, and in fact,
Solomon Jernigan, I was just about to say what you just put. Boy, Turpin. Don't forget about Kevontae Turpin. Do not forget about Kevontae Turpin. Turpin gonna eat. I guarantee you, Turpin's gonna eat. He's gonna be a factor too. I'm telling you, I'm salivating over the fact that we're gonna see Jaden Blue and Kevontae Turpin on the field at the same time. Could you imagine running a double reverse with Kevontae Turpin and Jaden Blue? Oh my gosh. Boy, you want to talk about crazy. Man, you want to talk about crazy. That would be insane. But both of them on the field at the same time, boy, it's going to be something else. It's going to be something else, I'm telling you. For sure.
They got it done. So maybe the next thing is to ask them. But my gut feeling right now is that they're probably done until if something comes available.
I feel that too, Basil.
They're always open to that. But I think right now they're done.
You give up a 3 and a 5 and you're fixing a weakness and making it a strength with a player who's young and in his prime. This is what the Eagles do.
Well, but like you say, you're doing it without a safety net because there's no guarantee. He could have a hell of a year. And if you look at the names of potentially whose contracts are up in 2025, there's only one franchise tag. And you might need that franchise tag for a blend.
Yeah, and I get that, and I respect that. I do think, though, Brian, even if he did walk, if he was great and you gave up a third-round pick for 1 year,
I'm not against it.
George
No,
Pickens, might not be bad.
I'm totally on board with this. I'm just saying that, to me, this is one of those moves that you absolutely make if you're a general manager that's not going to get fired. You're okay.
Oh, Brian. Boy, Brian just said something right there. He 100% right. If you are a GM that could be fired, you don't make this move. He right. Because I've already prepared myself. George Pickens may absolutely walk away from the Cowboys. Not because he doesn't like the Cowboys. But if Dak Prescott does for him what he typically does for these number 2 wide receivers, and Dak Prescott has 2 1,000-yard wide receivers, which isn't going to surprise me. I mean, even though Brian Schottenheimer is going to run the ball, what do we think Dak's going to throw for? 2,200 yards? Nope. Dak Prescott is probably still going to have around a 4,000-yard season. Dak Prescott will have around a 4,000-yard season. Those 4,000 yards are going to somebody. And I'm sure with George Pickens on the team, it's not going to be 1,700 to CeeDee Lamb and 1,200 to Pickens. Nah. You're going to have to figure in Ferguson into that. You're going to have to figure in the third wide receiver into that. You're going to have to figure in Turpin into that. And I'm telling us now, you're going to have to figure Jaden Blue into that. Jaden Blue going to be crazy on the Cowboys with multi-purpose yards. So all of this has to be figured in. George Pickens could absolutely walk away from this team. And if he plays on this team and the Cowboys get to the second or the NFC Championship game and he walks away, go in the draft and get the best wide receiver. That's all you have to do. Go in the draft and get the best wide receiver. You'll get a compensatory pick back for George Pickens, and everything will be good. Because if we were going to bring in Keenan Allen or Amari Cooper, the only thing they were going to be was one-year rentals. There is no way I believe the Cowboys, if they brought in Amari Cooper, they were keeping him more than one season. If they brought in Keenan Allen, they were not keeping him more than one season. So if that's the case, this is what you risk with Pickens. And you already know. What did the Cowboys get back? I don't know. They was talking about what they get back, a sixth or something in whatever draft. You're going to get that compensatory back too. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not like you're just taking, you're renting him and not getting anything back. No, you're going to get something back, especially if he's good for the Cowboys. So yeah, this is one of those moves, of course, that if you don't have to worry about being fired as a GM, because you said, hey, we're going to make this move right here, and it's going to make us better this year. And I think what we're looking at is, I think we could really be looking at a combination of things. Maybe the Cowboys want to win right now while also building for what they want to do next year. So right now, George Pickens will help us to be competitive. George Pickens will help us to get the double-digit wins. George Pickens may actually help us to get past a playoff game. George Pickens may help us do that. So we want that because we actually don't want another 8-9 season. We don't want to be 8-9. We don't want to be, we don't want to be 9-8. We don't want to only improve by 2 games. The Cowboys are saying something. Hey, we're building. 2026 is going to be the season where we're really going to make the real run. But how about we still win in the meantime? Rather than looking like we're just, hey, we're still building. We got a little bit better. We're 8-9. We're 9-8. No, how about we come out here and say, hey, we still in this thing. And if you sleep on us, we still got an opportunity. Maybe that's what you're saying too. So for them, George Pickens, the Cowboys, I don't think they're worried about if George Pickens walks away. Because everything they've done in this free agency, everything they've done in this draft, it's still going towards building the best roster in the NFL. We're still not the best roster in the NFL, even with George Pickens, but we're getting closer and closer and closer. And next year is when I believe we're going to close the deal. That's when we're going to close the deal, and Steven's going to say, I think we're the best roster in football. So George Pickens, to me, coming in for one season, it is what it is. You deal with it when it gets here.
Would not give up a 3 and a 5 for a player that the league feels like might have is hard to get along with. And I mean hard to get along with because of how competitive he is. You talk to people at the Steelers, they'll tell you this guy, he's not a bad person. He's not like hitting women or going out and doing crazy things. He believes that he can win every single rep. And you watch him play against, the Surtans and, the guy down in Atlanta, some of the best corners, the Jets corners. You watch him play and you can see him get up for these games. And
he wants to go break the other team right now. And if you don't get him the ball,
when he doesn't get the ball,
He's like, I could have done it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
it's a problem.
That feeling
Yeah, I
of
believe
failure
that
and
too
losing
blends
is so
together.
powerful. It agitates people.
That's
It
exactly.
stresses
Mozzie
you
about to
out.
make
That's
still
exactly
too.
what the Steelers
So he's
say.
like Dez in a lot of ways.
He's just like him. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I hope we get to OTAs. Let's talk about what this means in the context of, what are the Cowboys' plans? Obviously, they're not rebuilding. They're thinking, okay, last year might have been a step back, but we're trying to make the team better. I don't know if they've done enough. They still need more good players. They don't have enough strength in their position groups. But I would say if you show up at OTAs and training camp and Tyler Guyton looks like a legitimate quality left tackle, then I'd be like, okay, I guess I can see them being in the playoffs and even winning a playoff game. I think they've done enough that they could qualify for that if they get good offensive line play.
Yeah, that's going to be the key.
Yeah, I mean, this was the biggest hole remaining on their offense. Now, obviously, the question of Guyton.
The left tackle is now the big question. Yeah.
And
maybe if you still have some questions about the running backs, I mean, if you really don't, if you're not a fan of Maffa or you're not a fan of Williams.
Yeah, Guyton's. Yeah, they just said something. Guyton's. Hey, we're all hoping that Guyton makes the next step. We're hoping that Guyton makes the next step. But Guyton's a question mark. So is Terrence Steele. I think those guys are both question marks. But the good thing is the answer is on the team. I believe Austin Richards is the answer for Tyler Guyton, and Tyler Guyton may be the answer for Terrence Steele. Tyler Guyton is probably, I wouldn't say Tyler Guyton is a loss. Tyler Guyton, I mean, the Cowboys may just need to just accept the fact he's not a left tackle. He's just not a left tackle. How about you moving back to the right tackle? How about that part? See what he does as a right tackle. He'd probably be a lot better.
Williams. I think we're all fans of Blue and what he could do. It'd be nice to have Rico Dowdle. Again, I'm being really nitpicky here, but having Rico Dowdle and Blue, I think would be a really good combination for this team. But we'll see with Moff and Blue how that works out.
Yeah, I really see
Phil Moff. And I guess if the schedule stacked up on you in the first 2 months before Overshone and Diggs can even start to come back, you could lose. If they put all the worst teams that you could play in the first 8 games, you might be 2-6 with the way that the schedule goes. But if they do you a favor, you could be above 500 at the turn, getting your guys back, and I don't think that's
your game, and I believe
hopefully it's not too late. That's what you're trying to say, right?
What do you mean?
Hopefully it's not too late that the season hasn't completely fallen apart by the time you get your guys back.
I mean, I'm looking at the second half of last year, and even though Overshone and Diggs and some other guys were out, they were still able to be good.
No, they're gonna sign Blaine Boubede
against great teams. Once they came up against great teams, got their doors blown off, and they reminded us, hey, this team ain't good. But you can win in the NFL without some key guys if the schedule's not too tough on you. So, I think a lot of it comes down to how good Guyton is or how they would pivot if Guyton isn't good enough. I guess this means they're looking at next year's draft assets as ways to improve this year's team.
Yeah.
What could you get for a 2? Could you get a new left tackle for a 2? That's kind of what I'm thinking while I keep my fingers crossed, because Guyton's such a great athlete. With a frame like that, he could be special out there. Maybe he just needs more experience.
I think if they if push came to shove, I think they would take Tyler Smith and put him at left tackle.
Okay.
If Guyton ends up just not being it.
If push comes to shove, they will figure out what they need to do at left guard and put Tyler Smith out there.
Interesting.
And you think Smith could be unbelievable left tackle too?
Oh, he's got that kind of ability. I mean, he's so much better inside because of his ability to play with the leverage and the power he has. But yeah, it's something that he'd have to go. He did it his college career. He did it his first year. But man, he's a Pro Bowl left guard.
Tyler Smith, left tackle.
I wouldn't want to do it, but I'm just saying, if push came to shove and they just do not get what they want out of the left tackle play, that's the first thing I would do.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. Appreciate that. Very interesting. Didn't think of that one. Very interesting. All right. Let's see where we are next. All right, I just want to talk a little bit about this. Here we go. I kind of opened up the show with the Ric Flair thing there, and that was in reference to Jerry Jones. And we're not going to talk long about this particular subject matter. I want to look at the Cowboys roster again with you guys as we keep talking about some of these players. But Athlon Sports, again, is talking about this issue with Jerry Jones and people saying that Jerry Jones is moving out of the way and Steven is doing this and this and this. But I will have to admit, and I could be totally wrong, I don't have no inside information. George Pickens seems like a Jerry Jones thing to me. All this other stuff has been kind of like, yeah, shoddy and blah, blah, blah. No, this feels like Jerry Jones to me. This feels like Jerry Jones to me. This seems like vintage Jerry Jones. I would love to hear how it all shook down, but this seems like vintage Jerry Jones. Mike Fisher's over here on Athlon Sports, CowboysCountry.com. Y'all make sure y'all go subscribe if you haven't, or make sure you follow them. They have a lot of great articles. And he reported here today, Cowboys Jerry Jones quitting his GM rumors swirling, because that's kind of what we all been thinking. Jerry Jones no longer calling Dallas Cowboys shots after George Pickens trade is the headline, and it is very, very, very wrong. Now, it seemed like to me that a lot of these moves have not been Jerry. I do believe Jerry's been a part of them because he's Jerry. But this George Pickens thing to me, this has Jerry Jones written all over it. I could be wrong, but it just seems to be vintage Jerry Jones. That Jerry Jones would make this type of move. It says Frisco, the headline is an eye catcher. If its proclamation is true, it ranks as one of the biggest sports stories of the year. Jerry Jones no longer calling Dallas Cowboys shots after George Pickens trade. That's a monster headline. That's a monster story. It's all uproarious with Jerry's own top staffers getting a good laugh from it. The Cowboys' own GM is finally at age 82, giving up those roles that he's held with the tightest grip since 1989 purchasing of America's team. Nope. Cancel the celebratory parade or lay off the morning period. Jerry isn't going anywhere. It says Dallas pulled off a major trade this week. They're talking about the trade. It says the Fort Worth Star Telegram seems to be suggesting that these moves represent a change of the guard, with COO Stephen Jones having taken on a bigger role this offseason. Man, you know what? I do think Stephen Jones has been doing some things, but this seems like Jerry. It says, but we're told that Stephen, who already wielded a de facto GM level of authority around here, remains in the same position he's been in for years. Sam's with the right-hand man, Will McClay, so powerful here that a colleague, Shan Sharif, has reported that he may have a Jones's family arrangement to take over his GM when Jerry is done. But for now, the younger Jones has for a decade been the driving force behind Dallas conservative spending on outside free agents, a flip-flop from the wildcatting way Dad used to roster Bill, which makes it all the more amusing to think that somehow in the last 14 days, Steven has suddenly put his fingerprints all over the franchise. He says there are always ebbs and flows around here at the Star in terms of decision-making. Pushes, Jerry, Steven, Will, and now new head coach Brian Schottenheimer can all be driving forces at different times. But that's not new. For fun, we presented the notion of a seismic shift of a Jerry step back into the sunset amid sudden rise of power of his son to a top Dallas staffer. Shh, the staffer said with a laugh, don't tell Jerry. Yeah, I don't know. This seems like a Jerry Jones move. I could be totally wrong. But this seems like some stuff that Jerry would do. Because, again, I think Brian Broaddus is making a powerful point. When Brian Broaddus says that this is the move of a GM that can't get fired. Because most teams probably wouldn't want George Pickens on a one-year rental, giving up a third and a fifth. They probably wouldn't do that, a third and a sixth or whatever it was. They're not doing that. Jerry Jones would probably do that. Jerry Jones would do that. And it seemed like up until George Pickens that this was more of a we're building for the future, we're building for the next 2 years, but then we get George Pickens, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, hold on a second. That's a win now move. That's a win now move. That seems like a Jerry Jones move to me. Because all those other moves, to me, seem like more of we're building for the next 2 to 3 years. This move seems like to me, nah, we're going to win now. We want to be competitive now. We're going to throw all the chips in the we're going to push all the chips to the middle of the table right now. So we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do coming up next. But again, this thing with George Pickens seems like the old Jerry Jones to me. And if there is another trade And if I'm not mistaken, I think Jane Slater was reporting that there isn't another trade. I think Jane Slater is reporting this. She said she did a meme basically symbolizing throwing cold water on anything about another trade happening anytime soon. And so, the Cowboys, I still think when it comes to, like I said, what they're doing, everything they're doing, they've been doing the right moves. There's no point in trying to overdo it or anything like that. The Cowboys, take your time. There is plenty of time. June 1st is coming up. There will be a lot more. There'll be a lot more coming up today. So all we have to do, there'll be a lot more coming up. I was trying to do two things at once. I'm sorry. I'm trying to multitask. There will be more things, more players available here coming up. So it seems like to me, Brian Broaddus is probably on the right track too. You're probably not going to see anything else from the Cowboys until June 1st. But right now, we just need to kind of sit back and enjoy the thing with George Pickens, and then we'll see what they do next. And then, of course, we're going to move on to this thing about cornerback. Yes, sir. Hallelujah. Stephen Jones can't get fired either. These are the kind of moves you make. Jerry said, not so fast, young buckaroos. Yeah, I'm telling you, intelligent, this seems like a doggone, this seems like a doggone Jerry Jones move to me. David Everett, why not just give Will McClay the GM job? Man, they paying him like a GM, I can tell you that much. They paying him like one. Is Alexander a rumor or reported in talks? I haven't heard anything on that front. But again, it looks like George Pickens is the pick. George Pickens is what we're going to get to just kind of, right now, just kind of enjoy. You know what I mean? We're going to get to enjoy right now. Enjoy what the Cowboys are doing. LA Dot, he said, comment, share. This is one of the channels that keeps Cowboys Nation going, especially when there are no games going on. Appreciate you, LA Dot. Yes, sir, man. You have to be really searching for that content during these days and times, but it's all good. It's all good. We got to keep Cowboys Nation definitely keep hope alive. And the things that the Cowboys are doing, we should have hope, man. They are really making some serious moves. Don't know be the best. He said, I wish we would have traded for Pickens before the draft. Could have gotten him for a fourth instead of a third. Interesting. Yeah, that probably would have been good too. But it sounded like for all intents and purposes, they were trying to get back in the day too. Robert Jackson, Emperor. Yeah, Trayvon can't stay healthy. Yeah, we're going to get into this thing about the cornerback room because it's going to be very important. Intelligent Savage says, this was the ghost of Jerry's past awake to do work. Yeah. Jerry Jones said, oh, you think I'm not in charge anymore? Hey, watch this, hold my beer. Boy, yeah, Jerry. I think Jerry said, hey, man, I'm still in the room now. I'm still in the room. Boy, Iceberg Slim said Jerry Jones still chasing Randy Moss. Boy, I see what you're talking about too. Jenkins says the Bears have like 2 extra one techs that will get cut. Hey, you watch what happened after June 1st. This is what has me excited about the Cowboys. They're not done. They're not done, Jenkins Gaming. They're not done. And let's just enjoy this. Because the Cowboys going to do something else. I guarantee you they're going to do something else. They're going to do something else. Appreciate it. Cowboy 5 rings. He said the G is him. Appreciate you. Yes, sir. Daniel Lim said, gee, I talked to a friend of mine last night and he thinks we should get, hey, was that me? Because Daniel Lim, I've been beating on the table on this for a minute. Boy, I wish they would pick up Trey Hendrickson. Man, this dude got 35 sacks over the last 2 seasons. 35 sacks? Boy, I'd love to have him in the rotation. Sign him for 2 years. Don't even sign him for 1. Sign him for 2 or 3 years. I would love to have Trey Hendrickson in the rotation, man. For sure. I'd love to have him. Yeah, we didn't have a 4th. That's right, Poopa D. Yeah, you're talking about this season. We didn't have a 4th. And again, the Steelers were trying to get in today too. That's what they were trying to get the Cowboys on. The Cowboys said, no, can't let them do it. But again, let's kind of look at this this slot cornerback position. Because the reality is for the Cowboys, man, cornerback is where they need to be going next. When I look at their defense, we're better. We are way more situated on the defensive line than we are in the defensive backfield. We really could. We're fine. We don't have to do anything else on the defensive line. We don't have to. Can we? Yes. We don't have to. The defensive line is absolutely solidified. Even when you think about the linebacking core, the linebacking core for the most part is pretty much solidified. Where we need to figure out what the heck we're doing is defensive back. Because as much as I hear people talk about nose tackle, no, man, this is what you signed Oso Digizua for. This is what you signed him for. Oso Digizua is the anchor of the defensive line, period. And the expectation is Mozzie Smith is going to take another step. Now, I know people keep saying, well, you know, we want another one tech. We want another one tech. Everybody's hollering about a one tech. We know, and I don't believe J-To Aya is the answer right now. I don't think he's the answer. But he's a part of the plan. The expectation is for Mozzie to step up. That's the expectation. Solomon Thomas, I believe, can play the one tech. I believe he's versatile enough that he can play that one tech. But again, when you, and that's what everyone's hollering about, but at the end of the day, it's Mozzie Smith. They are expecting him to make a step up. Now, we're talking about we want some insurance, because it sounds like we're saying we want some insurance more than we're saying that maybe Mozzie Smith isn't going to be able to do it this year. Because I do believe that Mozzie is going to make a huge step this year. I do. I think Mozzie is going to make a huge step. But when I look at the cornerback position, no, this is where we really need to be messing around at. Because linebacker, we're going to be fine. People keep thinking that Maurice is going to make another step. We got Shamar James. We got Damone Clark. We'll see if he makes the team. But we got Jamone Clark. Jack Sanborn is here. Kenneth Murray Jr. Demarion Overshown will be back at some point in time. You got Kenneth Murray. I mean, the Cowboys linebacker situation is good. The cornerback is really where you have the immediate need. Savon Revel Jr. coming off a knee. Trevon Diggs. This dude is coming off something that's insanity. You know, we start talking about Trevon Diggs. Savon Revel Jr. will be ready before Trevon Diggs. We don't even know what Trevon Diggs is going to be. We really don't know what he's going to be. And the problem with him, he's had so many knee issues, the rehab can be anything you want it to be. The problem is the first time he takes a hit on the knee. The first time he falls on artificial turf on the knee. What happens? Trevon Diggs is the biggest question mark on this team. And again, I would love to have Diggs, Deron Bland, Savon Revel Jr. on the field at the same time. If we even see that, it probably won't be until midseason. Trevon Diggs can't come back early. He cannot come back early. And if he comes back early, I don't know what else to tell us, but Trevon Diggs may be risking his career. Trevon Diggs needs to come back not at 99%. This man needs to come back at 100%. Needs to come back at 100%. Yeah, Catherine the Kid said Diggs is not here for too long, G. No, he's not. This is why we really need to be addressing linebacker. It is more of an urgent need than the one tech. No, Mozzie is the one tech. No, we want it to be Mozzie. We don't want we shouldn't need insurance for Mozzie. This is the year that Mozzie should be making his move. This year, he should be making his move. And again, we don't believe that J-To Aya is going to be, We got to understand that Jay To'Aya, he'll probably be pretty good for us in maybe in some kind of 1 yard, goal line, stuff like that. But Mozzie is the man who we want to make the step. And again, we got Solomon Thomas. You never. I'm not sure about Tom. I don't think of King Basadi. He's not a one. We got Justin Rogers. But again, we got a starter. The problem is at cornerback, we don't really know if we have a starter. DaRon Bland right now is the only one for sure that we know hits the field on day one. Now, they're saying Savon Revel Jr., all indicators are pointing towards he will be on the field day one. They already been showing. I saw him doing some work on the treadmill. I've also seen him, they said he snuck out there doing the rookie mini camps, and people are saying that he's moving around already somewhat. So it looks like Savon Revel Jr. He's going to start out on the PUP list, and then he'll work his way up as the season gets to a beginning. But again, even then, so you'll have Savon Revel Jr., you'll have Savon Revel Jr., DaRon Bland, who's the slot cornerback. They got some big shoes to fill. Jordan Lewis was absolutely just phenomenal, especially this year. 2024, he was phenomenal. Who do you get to fill his spot? I've been hearing some talk about Israel. People saying that he may be on the slot. I've heard some talk about. I'm not sure about Colin Kaysen. I don't even know if he could do something like that. Keenan Hall, no, don't think so. Now I have been hearing about the undrafted free agent. Let me see. There has been some talk. I saw where but he's listed as a free safety. But I was hearing that Zion Childress could maybe try to play in the slot position. I've also heard Wanye, even though he's listed as a safety. But again, you could move DaRon Bland into that slot cornerback. But then that means that you're going to have to depend on Kyer Elam. And again, I want to see what kind of camp Kyer Elam has. Because if Kyer Elam has the kind of camp that they want him to have, then Kyer Elam may be what they're looking for. Kyer Elam may move. Maybe he can move to the outside. DaRon Bland plays the slot for a while until maybe Trayvon Diggs comes back. But my only problem with the DaRon Bland being in the slot, DaRon Bland is up for a contract. And DaRon Bland ain't, and I'm using a double negative, DaRon Bland ain't trying to play for no doggone slot money. DaRon Bland ain't trying to play for no slot money. Now, if he play in the slot and they're still saying that we're going to give you, we're still going to give you that outside money, okay, let's roll with it. But again, DaRon Bland is up for a contract. I would be surprised at DaRon Bland playing in the slot for an extended period of time. I mean, he can do it. He can play inside and out. That's one of the reasons why you're going to have to let go of Trayvon Diggs and pay him. Because you can't wrap up a lot of money in every position. If you wind up keeping George Pickens, you definitely can't keep Trayvon Diggs, DaRon Bland, and Savon Revel Jr. And with the way things have been going with Trevon Diggs is probably going to be a casualty. I wouldn't be surprised the Cowboys, if he gets well, I wouldn't even be surprised the Cowboys try to trade him at the deadline. At the trade deadline or something to that effect. But again, if he comes back healthy, they look like they might be in win now mode. Maybe they might want to see what Trayvon Diggs, DaRon Bland, and Savon Revel Jr. all look like on the field at the same time. I tell you what, I'm here for it. I wouldn't be mad at it. I am not going to poo-poo on it. But they really do need to be thinking about, because it seems more likely than not, DaRon Bland and Savon Revel Jr. are going to be your outside corners. So where does Kyer Elam, where does Kalen Carson, where does Israel fit? Where do they all fit in this? Now, I'm just telling you, I would like to see the Cowboys I would still like to see the Cowboys go get Asante Samuel Jr. I would still like to see the Cowboys bring him into training camp. We'll see what's out there come June 1st. But I would love to see Asante Samuel Jr. I really, really would. I just think he'd be a great addition to the team. I think he would be somebody that could really, really, he'd be another player that could come in and push the cornerback room. But you have got to get this slot cornerback thing figured out. You have got to get that figured out. I think I heard some names today. Let's see. Let me look at something real quick. And see, a lot of people, while people really focus on the outside corners, let me tell you something. Slot cornerback, very important position. Everybody can't play in the slot. If they could, it wouldn't be a big deal. It's a huge deal. There's a reason why the Jacksonville Jaguars made Jordan Lewis the highest paid slot corner in the NFL. That position is not easy to fill. It's not. And once you get a guy that can play it, boy, you want to pay him. You really do. You want to pay them. And again, you're not paying them outside cornerback money, but you want to pay them. And so there are some players out there. And the Cowboys do have some, like I said, and again, with everything they have on the team, they may try to find it on the team. I actually wonder, can Kyrie Elam play? Could Kyrie Elam switch to that player? Because I do think the Cowboys are banking on Kyrie Elam doing good. I know, C.J. Goodwin is coming back. And again, Josh Butler, Kalen Carson, Keenan Hall. Maybe Keenan Hall can do it. But again, I do think they like Izzy, and maybe they'll give Izzy a chance. And I still want to know, what are they going to do with Marquise Bell? Because what did you pay Marquise Bell for? I think they need to switch out both of the safeties. But, hey, it is what it is. Maybe we'll see what's happening during the camp. But you can't pay Marquise Bell and continue to let him be a backup. Somewhere he's going to be on the field. So the defensive backfield, to me, for the Dallas Cowboys is what they really need to nail down and solidify. Kind of like, okay, what are we going to do with this? Now, if you listen to the defensive coaches when they first came in, it sounded like to me they were pretty confident in Malik Hooker and Donovan Wilson. And, of course, they think that Diggs and Bland is good, but I think they were just talking when it comes to Trayvon Diggs, because he struggled severely last year with his tackling. And then, of course, he's been struggling with an injury for the last 2 years. So, I don't know. But I do think this is the next area that the Cowboys need to be concentrating in, is that doggone cornerback position. Yeah, Madman, let me see here. Madman says Zion UDFA, but so was Bell, and Bell was a beast. Man, I heard some people talking about this Zion Childress saying that he could play. They're saying he could play slot. So he may be one of these guys that we see what happens. Maybe he works his way up to the top. Bill said he's not giving up that 14. Yeah, until somebody pay him money. But we'll see if Pickens willing to give him that money. Yeah, Jenkins Gaming. Yeah, Butler is scheduled to be coming back, I guess, here pretty soon, but we'll see. Oh, Big Flock 91, he says Sam is a third stringer. He caught a bad break with that injury last year. Yeah. Sam Williams got to turn it on. Sam got to turn it on, man. He do. Sam got to turn it on. He got to do his thing this year. He really does. And he's already been talking about it on X. He's been saying, man, he's going to have a year. He's going to have a crazy year. Boy, true Cowboy when age of 0 come back. And I hope they don't bring him back too soon. Bring him back mid-season. Make sure he's all the way back. Bring him back mid-season. Cowboys may be in a good position to make somewhat of a playoff run. I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Yeah, we got the cap to pay everybody to blend Mike and Pickens, yeah. For sure. Now, the thing is going to be with Pickens is what kind of money is he going to command, and that's one of the reasons why Pickens is smart. Pickens don't want to he don't want to extend right now because he know if he extend right now, the value isn't there. Pickens, no matter what anyone says, the value isn't there for Pickens right now. Pickens can pick up an extra $10 to $15 million this season if he comes out here and does what he's supposed to do. And I do believe the play on the field is not going to be the problem. If he can do what he's supposed to do off the field, man, he going to pick up. There'll probably be somebody willing to pay Pickens $20 to $25 million a season. I believe easy. I'm not sure that's going to be the Cowboys with everything they got to do. Yeah, Bland. Yeah, they signed him, Bland. There's no doubt about it. Bland is going to get signed. Yeah, they're going to sign Bland for sure. He ain't got he has nothing to worry about. The issue is the rest of them. Solomon says Elam is not a bust. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Some people said Amari was too until he scored 3 touchdowns in a game with Dak. Yeah, and we're hoping that this Cowboys defense, these Cowboys coaches can do something with Elam. And I believe we know the Cowboys will never pick it up the 5th-year option. But I do believe this is why the Cowboys didn't pick up the 5th-year option. They're hoping that Elam does well this season so that they can negotiate a deal and get him on a very good contract if he does well. My man Jigga Man, he said I'm late, but I'm gonna run it back. Yes, sir. Pickens fit right in. The whole team got a chip on the shoulders for sure. Victor Jones, Georgia Bulldogs and Cowboys fan here. Please tell Jerry to start drafting Georgia players for sure. He might have had it in his mind this year, but it didn't work out. Intelligence said facts. Asante Samuels Jr. and Gilly would work for me. I'm not going to be surprised if Stephon Gilmore is back in the building. Stephon Gilmore is another one I will not be surprised if he's back in the building. Because you could bring Stephon Gilmore back, put DeRon Bland in the slot with the understanding to DeRon Bland, we still going to pay you that outside cornerback money. Yeah, we're still going to pay you that outside quarterback money. We just got to get it figured out. We just got to get through this season. And I would love to see Stephon Gilmore here. I think he would really solidify the cornerback room, which I think needs more solidifying than anything else right now. Insurance, but he said, but I could guess maybe closer to training camp for them on that. Yeah, he's not coming. These older guys, they don't need training camp. They don't. He says, Cowboys, take your time getting those cornerbacks out there. Yeah. For real. I want them to take their time. I want these guys, don't come back fast. Especially Trayvon Diggs. Man, do not come back fast. You have to understand, you might not be playing for the Cowboys again. You need to be ready to play for somebody else. You need to be ready to play for somebody else. And then again, you need to be ready to play for us in case we say we want you, we're going to want you to finish the season out. See what it do. DeRon Bland, yes, sir, Solomon. He can play it very well. Very well. Thing is, he's in that doggone contract season again, though. Bland is great, but every ex receiver he plays cooks him, even the trash ones. He said, I saw Elam erase DK Metcalf who cooked Bland. Boy. Again, and I think the Cowboys are banking on Elam. Yeah, Poobie D says Elam will be okay. I think they're banking on him. I do. I think they're banking on Elam. Terrence says Agent Zero, in my opinion, is the most valuable defensive player on the Cowboys. I agree. Can stop the run, rush the quarterback, and can defend against the pass. Yeah, he's incredible. Terrence, they need him out there bad. And what they really need him for is a whole season. They need him for a whole season. I would love to see what they look like, what the Cowboys defense would look like with Agent Zero playing a whole season. But again, we're going to make sure we're going to get some jerseys away when Overshown get back on that field. We're going to give some Overshown jerseys away. Yeah, Overshown's an absolute monster. We just got to find a way to keep him healthy. The last injury was just a freak injury. He got rolled up on. Yeah, and you know the reason why Bland gets cooked sometimes? Bland takes chances. Yeah, Bland takes chances. Sometimes he just get flat out beat. But he takes chances too. Because, boy, let me tell you, he didn't take chances to get Jamar Chase was cooking him that night. Boy, we played Cincinnati. Boy, they, whoo. Boy, but Jamar Chase cooks a lot of folk. Yeah, Jamar Chase cooks a lot of folk. Yeah. Dwayne Hart says all we need is a good backup cornerback. Yeah, we need another cornerback, and that's why I want Asante to be in there. I would love for Asante Samuel to come in there. But again, looking at this roster, you got to figure out the combination. Because I do believe Savon Revel Jr. will be the outside starting cornerback for sure. The issue is we just don't know if DeRon Bland is going to play inside or out. And if he plays inside, then who plays outside? Who plays outside for the Cowboys? Yeah, one game needs to be back at safety. I want to see if him and Marquise Bell can actually become the starting safeties. Because I'm telling you, Donovan and Malik last year, boy, they were getting cooked, missing tackles. I mean, out of position. They were just getting tore up last year. A lot of people are saying this is one of the reasons why when the Cowboys didn't bring back Al Harris, that a lot of people were not mad that they didn't bring him back. This is what people are saying. They blamed Al Harris. They were saying that the defensive backs just didn't play well. This is one of the things they were saying. Yeah, Robert Jackson, I do think they're going to try to get through this year, and that'll probably be high on their list for next year. You know, best player available and what they need. Yeah, he says Milton needs reps with first team with all that speed going downfield. Turpin, Pickens, and Lamb. Hey, Milton's going to have his hands full already, bro. Milton's going to have to beat out Will Grier. I'm just telling you, man. We don't think Joe Milton just going to roll up in here and get the starting job. Nope, it's not happening. Will Grier is excited too. You better believe he is. And Donovan Smith. Donovan Smith is as big as Joe Milton III. I don't know about the big arm, but at the end of the day, man, we got to understand something. Being able to throw the ball a mile, you don't throw the ball a mile in the NFL. You don't throw the ball a mile in the NFL. He was in college, he could throw a mile. It didn't garner him starting but one season. Having a big arm, being a big quarterback, being elusive, none of those things get you a starting position in the league. Man, you got to be able to play quarterback. You got to be able to read defenses. You got to be able to do so many things. Troy Dudley, that's what I would like for the Hey, I didn't want to say it, but I'm agreeing with you. Dallas just needs to start Bell in 1 year at safety. Yep, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. Ghostface Gaming, Jerry Jones balled out this time. I like our team as it stands. I like Blue and Williams combo at running back. The only big move left is extending Micah. I think we can go 11-6 right now after letting Pickens the best wide receiver too. Yeah. Intelligence said DK Metcalf gave Glenn a very long night. Don't need that to happen anymore. Yeah, DeRon Bland, the thing that he's missing, to me, he's a great cornerback, but he's not a physical cornerback. Savon Revel Jr. is a physical cornerback. Boy, he was right on time for the Cowboys. He was right on time for the Cowboys. Very physical cornerback. He's going to be able to get his hands on some of those wide receivers, get them off their mark. He's going to be able to tackle, of course, tackle these wide receivers, and he's going to be great in the run game. So Savon Revel Jr., man, when he gets healthy, he's going to be good. Dodo be the best. He said Donovan Wilson is an embarrassment to my name and coverage. Can't play man or zone. Great hitter, though. That's it. That's him in a nutshell. You just described him perfectly, Dono be the best. He can come down and bring heat. When it comes to coverage, terrible. Terrible, man. He is. But again, to me, this is where the Cowboys really need to get, where they really need some work. They might need to bring another cornerback into that room. And I'm definitely not opposed to a one tech, but I do. You got Mozzie, man. Mozzie's supposed to be the one tech. That's it. He's supposed to step up this year so you can bring Joe Toia along. And then Joe Toia becomes a part of the plan as you get further into the season. I know we want to have all the bases covered and we want the insurance in every single position. You're not going to be able to get it. We're not going to be able to get the insurance that we want in every single position. The reality is, when you have a young football team, guys, the expectation is for some of the young guys to actually step up. That's the expectation. You're anticipating they're going to step up and they're going to be exactly what you need. You just get to a point and you just say, no, we don't need insurance. We need assurance. You need to do what you're supposed to do. That's what we need. That's what we need. And so we got Mozzie, we got Jay Toia, and the goal is that Smith is what he's supposed to be, and Jay Toia continues to develop, and he maybe play here and there for us. And we'll see what happens with the rest. But again, let's close out with this story right here. And this is my own story. I've been hearing so many people. They're saying now that because we added George Pickens, that Dak Prescott has no more excuses. I'm really starting to believe that some people's brains don't function quite right. That people's brain don't function quite right. So let me get this part straight. This is Dak's expectations. We're going to close with this.
Yes! Here we go!
What are our expectations for Dak Prescott? Now, I'm not asking myself this because my expectation is for Dak Prescott to, if he's healthy, if Dak Prescott is healthy, one, we're going to get double-digit wins. But what are the expectations in the playoffs? Because I expected us to get to the playoffs even before George Pickens. Because whenever Dak Prescott is healthy, this team goes to the playoffs. So what are the expectations? Because people are already saying, George Pickens, no excuses. Really? So we're saying that George Pickens is the player that helps the Cowboys get over the hump. And he's the player that now says, Dak Prescott, it's either now he goes to the Super Bowl or else. What are people talking about? This is Brian Schottenheimer's first season. First season. It's not just Brian Schottenheimer's first season. Now, when George Seifert is one of only two coaches, I believe, that in his first season, he won a Super Bowl. He had already been with the team for a long time, up under Bill Walsh. The team was loaded. Superstar players offensively and defensively. But he didn't come in with a brand new coaching staff. We're not only talking about a first-year ever head coach. We're talking about a brand spanking new coaching staff. We're bringing in what? At least 20 new players? And because we get George Pickens, now people are saying Dak Prescott now has no more excuses. The first year under Brian Schottenheimer. Excuses? So we're expecting the Dallas Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl in Brian Schottenheimer's first year. It's pure insanity. It's pure insanity. Dak Prescott, I believe, if he's healthy, Dak Prescott is going to do what he's always done. Dak Prescott is going to win games. Dak Prescott is probably going to win somewhere between 10 and 12 games. Easy. 10 to 12 games easy. But what we got to do first, we got to see what the scheme is. We don't even know what they're going to run. We got to see how the players are going to be used. We got to see what the defense looks like. We got to see the Matt Eberflus, and pretty much I think we know what he's going to do. He's going to rush 4, drop 7. rush 4-2 linebackers. Well, we got to see what he is. We don't know what Eberflus is doing yet. We got to see who all starts wherever. We got to see who comes out on the top. We got to make past training camp. We do. How many teams have we seen that look so good on paper, and then training camp, people start dropping like flies? We got to get to the point of seeing what the team is. Because at the end of the day, this is Brian Schottenheimer's first time being a head coach. And the expectation, because it's Dak Prescott as the quarterback, and now we got George Pickens, the expectation is that Dak has no more excuses. So you're saying that if Dak Prescott doesn't get to the Super Bowl, it's a failure? Let's calm down a little bit. As excited as we are, and I know you know I'm excited, as excited as we are, I've been saying this, and then people have been hearing me say this. This is not the season. It could be. It could be the season. But this isn't the season. This is going to be the season to show you where we're going. This is that season. But this isn't the season. Could it be the season? Well, it could be. I mean, anything is possible. It's the NFL. Anything is possible. It is not beyond the imagination that the Cowboys could go to the Super Bowl and win. But it's probably imagination to believe and expect we're going to go to the Super Bowl and win in a first-year coach's tenure. Do I want it to happen? Yes. Boy, do I want it to happen? Oh, man, I want it to happen. Boy, I would love for Brian Schottenheimer to go to the Super Bowl in his first season and win it. For sure. For sure. Why wouldn't any of us want that? But we need to understand. Very few. 2 coaches. Only 2 coaches have done it. Only 2 coaches have done it. That's a tall glass. That's a tall glass to expect a first-year coach to go to the Super Bowl. That's a tall glass. Be excited about the season because we are going to win games. There will probably even be a point in the season where we're probably going to think we're going to the Super Bowl. I'm just saying, if this team, but we got to see it. We got to see it on the field. But the way we're moving right now, you could easily see where, man, this team is really shaping up to be a very good team. And it is going to be competitive. Yes, it is. This team is going to be competitive. It's always been competitive as long as Dak Prescott is healthy. But for people to start saying that now Dak Prescott has no more excuses, that's crazy work. That's absolutely crazy work right there. That George Pickens, and it was only after the George Pickens pickup. This is when people started saying this crazy stuff. Oh, he got George Pickens now. There are no more excuses. Man, wait, hold on. Calm down. Calm down. George Pickens does seem to be a part of the Cowboys are saying, yeah, we're in win now mode. But then it's not quite just say yet that they're going to win. They're all going to win now. But the Super Bowl, first-year coach, and maybe it would be different if it was a first-year coach, but the entire coaching staff has already been here. He's the first-year coach, but he's been on the team. He's been the assistant coach. All the other coaches have already been here. And then he takes over as the coach, similar to how George Seifert was. Then you take over as the coach. And then you got all these players, superstar players, and the whole lineup has already been solidified. You're not trying to solidify it. It's already been solidified. That's different. But to expect Brian Schottenheimer to expect Brian Schottenheimer to win the Super Bowl his first season. Boy. I just think sometimes people, boy, the hatred grows. The hatred is so deep in some folk, they don't even understand half of what they're saying. But again, to think that Dak Prescott and this football team is going to now win the Super Bowl because they got George Pickens, let's slow our roll on that. Let's slow our roll on that. But they are going to be good. They're going to be very good. And I had said it before they got George Pickens. My expectations is the Cowboys are probably going to win a playoff game this year. NFC Championship game, we got to wait and see. Playoff game, though, I do believe they probably win a playoff game. But again, we have to understand, if we're talking about NFC Championship game, there is not one team that we have to battle through. And let me read Drew 912. Appreciate Drew 912 in the career. What's going on? Drew 912 said it is a big failure if Dak doesn't take this team to at least an NFC Championship. I already know it's going to be the same. Excuses for Dak. Nah, I disagree with you, Drew 912. And I appreciate what you're saying, but I totally disagree. And the reason why I disagree is because there are three other teams that I believe that in order for Dak Prescott and this team to make that mark, there are three teams in particular in the NFC that they're going to have to get past. And these three teams, they were very formidable last year, and they're going to be formidable again. The top of that list is the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to be a very formidable team again. And actually, there's a fourth team, but I don't think that team is going to be as good as everybody think. And I think the Cowboys are going to be able to overcome that team. The Washington Redskins, we beat them last year with Cooper Rush in an injured team. And I almost beat them with Trey Lance the last game of the season. I'm not as worried about the Washington Commanders as some people are. But the Philadelphia Eagles are still going to be a very formidable team. The other team that's going to be very formidable in the NFC, and people are going to have to deal with them, that team is the Detroit Lions. If the Detroit Lions defense does not get decimated last year, I'm just not sure if the Philadelphia Eagles go to the Super Bowl. The Detroit Lions were dismantling teams. It wasn't even close. When their defense was humming, it was not even close. They were dismantling teams before they got injured. There's another formidable team that people don't understand that is a very formidable team. And like the Cowboys have made steps, this team has made steps too. The Los Angeles Rams. The Los Angeles Rams are going for another Super Bowl. The Cowboys, I'm telling you, we're going to be better. Oh, yeah, you better believe we're going to be better. Will we win a playoff game? I believe we'll win a playoff game. I do. I absolutely believe we'll win a wild card game. But when we get to the divisional round, it all depends on how it falls. Because I am telling you, Philly, Detroit, and the Rams, they're all going to be formidable. And the reason why they're all going to be formidable is that they have something that we have too. Trenches. And theirs are a little bit more seasoned than ours. This will be our first year of our defensive line playing together. Go back and watch the playoffs. The Rams are absolutely nasty up front. The Rams are absolutely nasty up front. And they are going to be a problem. Because now they got Devontae Adams. They're going to be a problem. And while we're going to be better defensive line wise, while we're going to be, and you got to think about with us. This is why I say we gotta stop this Dak hate. We don't know what our offensive line is going to look like yet. We don't know yet. We know we got three in the middle. We don't know what the right tackle and the left tackle is. We don't know what they are. We don't know if Tyler Guyton, they were just talking about it. Brian Broaddus and these guys were just talking about it. We don't know what Tyler Guyton's going to be this year. Terrence Steele was getting his lunch taken last year. We don't know what those two are going to be. We don't know what our cornerback room is. We got to get that figured out. We have to get that figured out. Because when you start looking at NFC Championship, no, you're looking at now the best team. You're looking at the best team, the best two teams. That's what you're looking at. And while the Cowboys, to me, they have moved up the ladder, we got to see a little bit more before we start saying we're better than the Rams. People aren't talking about the Rams. No, I'm talking about the Rams. Sean McVay is going for another Super Bowl, straight up. And that defensive line he has right now, until I see what ours look like on the field, no, we're not them. We're not that defensive line. That defensive line gave Philly fits. And had it not been for them not being able to stop Saquon Barkley, we might would have had another conversation. And think about this. Had the Philadelphia Eagles not been able to get the Rams in the cold and the snow, I don't think people understand what they're talking about. George Pickens is not the player that says now Dak Prescott doesn't have any more excuses. We don't even know what the run game is yet. We don't know what the run game is. The running back room, does it look better? Yeah, the running back room looks better. We don't know what it is. We haven't seen Jordan Blue run one run in the pros. And for people to start saying, just because of what we are on paper, now Dak Prescott has no more excuses, you really need to check your football acumen. Because how do you know exactly what we are until we get on the field? I know what I think we're going to be, but I got to see it. We all got to see it on the field. We got to see it, man. We can't be putting this kind of pressure on the team. Dak Prescott is playing with all new coaches. All new coaches. Not a couple, all new coaches. Whole new team almost in so many positions. It's crazy for people to be saying this stuff. I said it and I keep saying it. 2025 is the season to show us where we're going. That's what this season is. This is the gelling season. This is the season where we start to get the chemistry. We have to get the chemistry first. We have to get the chemistry. We got to let the coaches and the players get the connection on the field. We got to get the schemes implemented. We got to get the schemes executed. We got to see the schemes, not just in the preseason. We have to see everything play out in the regular season. And so we got to see, okay, what do we look like after the first 4 games? What do we look like? Do I think we're going to win games? Yes. Do I think we're going to win double digits? Yes. I believe maybe 10 at the minimum. But we got to see what we look like. We have to see what we look like. And for us not to see what we look like and start saying stuff like, yeah, man, Dak Prescott ain't got no more excuses. With this team, we're talking about a paper team. Yeah, I'm excited about the paper team. But we got to get it on the field. We have to get it on the field. And anybody who's expecting Super Bowls and NFC, come on, man, NFC championship games, doesn't mean it can't happen. But we got to see it on the field. And then we can start saying, boy, the way they look these first 4 games, the way they look these first 8 games. Okay, now we'll get a good gauge by midseason. How has this team gelled? We at least need to get them to half the season, don't we? Now, I can tell you again, I believe we're going to win 10 games. But 10 games is not the NFC Championship game. 10 games is 7 losses. 10 games is you get into the playoffs maybe at the 8th seed. Maybe you win one of the wild card games. But then when you get to the divisional round, now you're going up against some teams. And I'm going to tell you this, Paul, we better not even sneeze at Green Bay. Paul, Green Bay got a stable over there, man, of wide receivers. And they can run the ball. Now, the issue is, we got to see. I mean, Jordan Love really only played, one good, and it wasn't even a whole season. He only played one half a season good. But as it applies to the Cowboys, the expectations for Dak Prescott. I expect Dak Prescott to ball out. I will not be surprised if Dak Prescott is comeback player of the year. I will not be surprised if Dak Prescott is MVP. But understand those are individual accolades. And you can get those individual accolades without even going to a Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson has proved it over and over and over. Josh Allen proved it. Dak proved it. First team All-Pro. Those are individual things. But when we're talking about teams going to the NFC Championship game, understand what I'm saying. Teams. Not quarterbacks. Teams. We got a ways to go. I'm excited about the Cowboys. I'm just telling you straight up. I'm excited, but I don't think this is the season. If it's the season, I'm glad. I don't think this is the season. We have to give this team time to get their chemistry right. And practice is going to be good. Training camp is going to be good. We're going to watch some very good team battles. But then we're going to get to the preseason. And Dak Prescott's not going to play. And Dak Prescott hasn't played a game since the Atlanta Falcons game. That was half the season. So now we're saying that Dak Prescott is going to miss half of the 2024 season. Rehab in the offseason of 2025. And then Dak Prescott now is expected to step on the field in 2025 season. And all of a sudden, Dak Prescott is expected to take this team to the NFC Championship game. Do we hear what we're saying? George Pickens, first year on the team. We still don't know who the third is. We don't even know what the run game. All of this stuff again. We don't know what any of it is. We got to get it on the field. Do I think it's going to be good? Yes. But to start talking about NFC Championship games and the like, whoa, slow down. Slow down. Slow down. Could it happen? Well, we might get by midseason and start saying, boy, they going to the Super Bowl. But can we get to midseason first? Right now, I'm calling it that the team is going to be good. Double-digit wins. Probably get to the playoffs. Probably win a playoff game. NFC Championship game, man, we got a couple of we got a couple of tough teams to overcome. Philadelphia Eagles, they're probably not. I'm not even going to say probably. Going to the Super Bowl 2 years in a row, people do not understand how hard that is. Philly probably will not go to the Super Bowl again. But the Rams and the Eagles, boy, they're going to make a strong push. They're going to make a very strong push. They are. And I will not be surprised if Dan Quinn is in the mix. I'm not worried about Dan Quinn. But again, man, we gotta temper these expectations, man, talking about Dak Prescott has no more excuses. So we don't think he's going to lose a game? We just expect Dak Prescott and this team, because they got George Pickens, to just breeze right through the playoffs and get to the NFC Championship game? Well, if you get to the NFC Championship game, you're pretty good. You're probably going to go to the Super Bowl. First-year coach, first-year coaches, a lot of new players, teams who are probably going to exceed at least most people's expectations, because most people probably aren't expecting them to even go to the playoffs, because I've already been hearing the projected record of the Cowboys by some people. But then, of course, it's the Cowboys. We win a few games. We mess around and be 5-3 in halfway through the season, and then people start building up expectations on us again. But again, I'm just saying, Dak Prescott expectations. Man, we got to stop this stuff. We got to get excited about this team because it's the team. Dak's going to lead us, but it's the team. It's the team. And that's how we're going to get to these NFC Championship games. And I believe the Cowboys are building their way up. And again, boy, I would love to be pleasantly surprised and the Cowboys get to the NFC Championship game. I think they're going to win a playoff game, though. I do. And it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't absolutely shock me, but I got to see something on the field. And I definitely wouldn't start holding Dak's feet to the fire under a first-year coaching staff, and everything that we don't even know what the scheme on the offense or defense is. And then we start hollering, hey, man, Super Bowl or bust. Whoa, let's slow down. Robert Jackson, the Emperor, he says, hold on, let me start with my man Ghostface. Ghostface said Dak balled out versus the Saints. He said, I must have missed that, LOL. You must have had your head turned when Dak was thinking it up. I don't think Dak was thinking it up. I think what we figured out is that Mike McCarthy's scheme was terrible. See, some of us may not have been listening, but the experts were telling us. Troy Aikman was talking about the route concepts. Tom Brady in the Detroit game. Tom Brady made the statement that was the epitome of the 2024 season. He said Dak Prescott can't win with this. Go back and watch the Detroit game. Tom Brady said Dak Prescott can't win with this. Can't stop the run. Can't run the ball. Only one receiver to throw to. Looking at the play designs, looking at the route concepts, Tom Brady said there is no way Dak Prescott can win with this. Couldn't. We got to get this on the field, and we'll see what it is. But I'm feeling good. I believe that we're going to be a whole lot better. Whole lot better. Tell it like it is. He said Pete Carroll made him study them. He wanted to implement more of the style of the of offense. Pete didn't want to. They fired Shotty. He got here. Tried to tell Mike. He wouldn't listen. Fired Mike. Go. Hey, I said it already. Tell it like it is. He better stop thinking that Brian Schottenheimer, yeah, he going to run the ball. But we're going to have a prolific passing game. You watch what I tell you. We're going to have a prolific passing game. That's why I said I will not be surprised 2 1,000-yard receivers. Intelligent Savage said facts. This is not Madden. One player wins nothing without the entire team putting in that work. Yes, sir. All right, let me see what I'm going to do here. Get the last word in here. Let's see where I am. Tell it like it is says Dak wasn't playing bad at all. Most of the picks this year still wasn't on him, and we had nothing behind him. It was a terrible season, man. The team was terrible. The team was terrible. Lame duck season for the coach. So many different things that was going on. Hallelujah said the Dak argument, irony and contradiction. If the quarterback wins and loses games then in Super Bowls, then that means that the best one will win every year. And he's clearly not the best in the league, so why are you even expecting it? And we already saw the best quarterback in the league got beat this year. Straight up. Bobby D, I'm with you. I can't wait to training camp. I'm ready to get this thing going. I am. Don't be the best. He said, I've seen Dak beat elite defenses. I've seen him carve them up and still lose. Facts. Facts. The other 31 teams in the league are putting in that work too. So don't go laying it all on Dak's doorstep. Whoa. I'm going to end on this. Intelligent Savage, you get the last word for the night, sir. I'm going to read it and we're going to sign out. Intelligent Savage said, hold on, let me read the super chat so I can stay true to my word. My man Johnny Blue, he said, hello, G. He said, I don't like stupid fans that say Dak needs to win something or else. He says, if we stay healthy, we will win 13 games. Chemistry should be on track by the 10th game. Yeah, that's why I said we got to get halfway through. He said, my glass is always full when it comes to Dallas Cowboys. Yes, sir. My man Johnny Blue, I appreciate you. And then, as I said, I'm going to give my man Intelligent Savage the last word. Let me go back up here. Intelligent Savage, you get the last word. He says 31 other teams in the league are putting in that work too. He said, so don't go laying it all at Dak's doorstep. He said each year, no matter how well or bad you did, it's a new season. As I always say, new season, new reason. Yes, sir. I'm with you. I'm with you. And again, let me see if I still got it up here. Let me close out on this, man. I read it earlier. But I'm telling y'all right now, boy, Jerry Jones is feeling good, boy. Jerry Jones is feeling real good right now. And Cowboy fans, we ought to be feeling good too. This team has done some great things, and we are on our way. We are definitely on our way, aren't we? Let's get out of here. I can see Jerry Jones right now. Jerry Jones said, you're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, woo, wheeling, dealing, limousine riding, jet flying son of a gun, and I'm having a hard time holding these Gators down. Y'all hit that like button on the way out. Until the next time, let's talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. Peace.